this section wise question distribution. So if you see 2025 paper, reintroduction. Okay. Back आ जाओ. Just tell me start करने का. Started? No, it's started. Hello all, welcome to Narayana IAS Academy, and this is Prashant. So finally Prelims 2025 examination has been completed, and I hope every one of you performed well in the paper. So today we will be solving all the questions that were asked in the CSAT paper, or also called as the Civil Services Aptitude Test, or also called as the General Studies paper 2 in the preliminary examination. So let's begin with the section wise question distribution. So in the 2025 paper, there are around 29 questions from the reading comprehension. So also we can call it as verbal ability. Also this is the English section. So there are around 29 questions, that is nothing but 36.3%. And there are highest number of questions are from the 30 questions, that is quantitative aptitude. So also called as the math section. So if you see, there are around 37.5%. So those many number of questions are from the math section. And the next one, that is reasoning. So there were 21 questions. So this is around 26.3%. So if you see this pattern, this is almost similar to the previous trends that the UPSC has been following for the past 5 or 6 years. So there are around 36%. So last year also, if you see, there were 27 questions from the English. So that is also reasoning, reading comprehension. And we need to score at least 33% in order to qualify this CSAT paper. So that means we have to answer at least 27 questions correctly. So without any negative marking. So these are the minimum number of questions that we have to attempt. So perfectly, so that we can qualify this paper. And this is Prashant. I will take up the math section. We will solve all the questions one by one. So this was the first question. A natural number n such that it can be expressed as n is equals to p plus q plus r, and where p, q, r are the distinct factors of n. So that means there is a natural number n and which is equals to p plus q plus r, and sum of these factors is equals to that number. Normally there is a rule, this kind of property is mainly applicable to the multiples of 6. For example, if you take 6, so what are all the factors of 6? That is 1, 2 and 3. So if you add these two, add these three, 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is nothing but 6. Similarly, take the next multiple, so that is 12. So what are all the factors of 12? 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 4, 3, 6 and 12. So in this also, if you add these three, for example 6, 4 and 2. So 6, 2, so 2 plus 4 plus 6, which is equals to 12. Similarly, take the next multiple 18. So what are all the factors? 1, 3, 6, 9, 2 also is a factor, and also 18. So you can leave the 18. So if you see here again, this is nothing but 9 plus 6, 15, 15 plus 3, 18. So the sum of 3 plus 6 plus 9, which is equals to 18. So this kind of property is mainly applicable to the multiples of 6. So indirectly they are asking what are the number of multiples of 6? They are below 50. So what are all the multiples of 6 below 50? 6, 12, 18, 24, 36, 42 and 48. So if you count the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 multiples of 6 below 50. So write at 6, 12, 18, 24, 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are total 7 numbers which have this property. So option B is the answer. Let's see the next question. So three prime numbers p, q are each less than 20 are such that p minus q is equals to q minus r. How many distinct possible values we can get for p plus q plus r? So again an easy question. So p minus q is equals to q minus r. So if you take this q this side, if you take this r this side, p plus r is equals to 2q. So this is the equation that we got. Now if we see what are all the prime numbers below 20. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 15 and 17. So these are all the prime numbers less than 20. Now you have to find all the possibilities of p, q and r which satisfies this equation. So if you see, let's take all the values for p and r. Now this is p, r and q. So if you take 2, 2 plus 3, for example, I am taking these two numbers, 2 plus 3 which is equals to 5. But 5 cannot be expressed as a multiple of 2, right? So 2 is the only even prime number. Remaining all are the odd prime numbers. If you add any even number with the odd number, again you will get an odd number only. But here the result 2q, this is an even number. So 2 cannot be considered at all. Now what are all the values? If you take 3 and 5. So we can take 3 and 5, right? So if you take 3 and 5, 3 plus 5, that is 8. So 2q is equals to 8 means q's value is 4. So which is not possible again. I will take 3 and 7. So 3 and 7 is nothing but 3 plus 7 is equals to 10. So 10 by 2 is 5. So all are prime numbers only. So one of the possibility is 3, 7 and 5. Take the next possibility. I will take 3 and 11. So 3, 11 means 14. 14 by 2 is 7. So again a prime number. So 3, 11 and 7. So if you take 3 and 13, 16 by 2 not possible, and 3 and 15, 18 by 2, 9 not possible, and 3 and 17 that is 20, 20 by 2, 10 not possible. Let's take the next set of numbers. So if you consider 5, 5 and 7, so that is 12 by 2. So 5 and 7, 11, 12 by 2, 6 is not possible. And similarly 5 and 11, so that is nothing but 16. So 5 and 11, 16 by 2, 8 not possible. And 5 and 13, 18 by 2, 9 not possible. 5 and 15 not possible. 5 and 17, that is 22, 22 by 2, 11. Again a prime number. So when it comes to 5, there is one possibility, that is 5, 17 and 11. And any other possibilities? 7 and 11, that is 18, 9 is not possible. 7, 13, 20 by 2. And 7 and 15. So that is nothing but 20 to 11. Yes, there is another possibility. So this is nothing but 7, 13, sorry, 7 and 15. And we will get 11 here. So this is one possibility. 7, 17, 24 by 2, 12 is not possible. So again 11 plus 13. So we have to consider all the possibilities. So 11 plus 13, so that is 24. 24 by 2, 12 not possible. 11 and 15. So 11 and 15, 26. 26 by 2 is again 13. So this is one possibility. And if you see 11 and 17, 28 by 2, 14 not possible. And 13, 15, 14 not possible. 13 and 17. So 13, 17, 15 not, yes, it is possible. So 13 plus 17 is nothing but 30, 30 by 2, 15. So 13, 17 and 15. So this is one possibility. And if you take 15 and 37, so that is nothing but 32 by 2, 16. So these are all the possible values for PQR. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now they're asking how many distinct possible values we can get for P plus Q plus R. So if you add all these, you will get different sums. So there are total 6 values. Okay, so this is nothing but it is little time consuming, but you have to find all the possibilities which satisfy the given equation. So answer is 6. Let's see the next question. How many possible values of P plus Q plus R are there satisfying 1 by P plus 1 by Q plus 1 by R? So this is again an easy question. 1 by P plus 1 by Q plus 1 by R is equals to 1. And P, Q, R are natural numbers. So that means they will start from 1, 2, 3 and so on. So 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 3, if you add which numbers, you will get the total 1. So what are all the possibilities? And also they have given, they are not necessarily distinct. So that means P can be is equals to Q, P can be is equals to R, and all of them can be equal also. So what are all the possibilities? If you see 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3, you will get 1, right? So this is a possibility. So none can be eliminated. Similarly, if you see 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, sorry, so 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 is 1, but 1 by 2 again can be written as 1 by 4 plus 1 by 4. So this is also 1. So there are two possibilities. So 1 can be eliminated also. Next, what are all the possibilities? So if you write 1 by 3, remaining will be 2 by 3. So 2 by 3 can be written as, sorry, 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 can be written as 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6. So this also will give you 1, right? So there are three possibilities, and beyond which there are no other possibilities. These are the only possibilities in which one can be expressed as sum of three fractions. So we can also see this in percentage terms also. So this one can be considered 100 percentage. So this will be 33.3, 33.3, 33.3, and similarly this is 50 percentage plus 25 percentage plus 25 percentage, which will give you 100 percentage. So in percentage terms also you can solve this question. So there are total three possibilities. So option C is the answer. Now let's see the next question. So team X scored a total of n runs in 20 overs and team Y tied the score in 10% less overs. So there are two teams are there. So X and Y. Team X scored n runs, okay, in 20 overs. Similarly, team Y tied the score. So tied means they also scored the same number of runs but in 10% less overs. So what is 10% less of 20? So that is nothing but 20 into 90 by 100. So 10% less means into 90 by 100 you will get 18. So in 18 overs itself they scored n runs. Now what is the run rate of the X? Team X, that is nothing but run rate is nothing but runs per over. So total runs is n by 20. So this is the average run rate of the team X. Now what is the average run rate of team Y? So total runs n divided by 18. Now what is the next condition given? Team wise average run rate has been 15%, 50% higher. The scores would have been tied in 12 overs itself. So what is the average run rate of team Y? That is n by 18. So n by 18. If this would have been 50% higher, so what do you mean by 50% higher? You have to multiply with 150 by 100. Now, with this run rate, they can score these n runs in 12 overs itself. So, run rate into this 12 overs, you will get n runs. So, this is the equation that you got. But in this equation, you can see n will be cancelled. So, the data is insufficient. So, with this data, you cannot find how many runs were scored by the team X. So, the answer will be cannot be determined. So, the data is insufficient. So option D is the answer. Let's see the next question. So again a very interesting question. The price P of a commodity is first increased by K percentage, then decreased by K, again increased by K percentage, again decreased by K percentage. If after doing all these adjustments, the new price is Q. Now what is the relationship between P and Q? For example, there is any price X. It is increased by K percentage. What you have to do? You have to multiply with 100 plus K by 100. Okay. Now, if you substitute like this for all the adjustments, it will be very lengthy. So in these kind of questions, you have to substitute values. So that is a smart way of solving these kind of questions. So I will assume K is nothing but, let's say, 10 percentage, and assume a value for P also, that is the initial price of the commodity. Let's not assume for now, I will show you how to do it. So the initial price is P. So initially increased by K percentage, that is increased by 10 percentage means multiply with 110 by 100 into again decreased by 10 percentage, so into 90 by 100, again increased by 10 percentage, so that means 110 by 100, again decreased by 10 percentage, 90 by 100. So this is the ultimate new price, that is nothing but Q. Now I will assume the value for P. So if you see in the denominator there is 10 to the power 8. So there are 8 zeros. So I will assume the initial price as 10 to the power 8. So then this will be cancelled and my calculation will be easier, right? So I am assuming P is equals to 10 to the power 8. Now if you see what is the value of Q, so that is nothing but 10 to the power 8 and this one will be cancelled. So this is nothing but 11 into 11 into 9 into 9. So that is 121 into 81 into, again 4 zeros are there. This is nothing but 10 to the power 4. Okay. So this value is 121 into 81. So this is 121 into, so this is 8, 8 2s are 16 and 8 1s are 8 and 9. So this is 1089801. So Q value is nothing but 9801 into 10 to the power 4. Now what you will do is just substitute these values. So from, just observe the options and substitute these values. If you see the first option, so what is first option? P value, you know, 10 to the power 8 into 10 to the power 4 minus k square. What is k? That is 10. So 10 square into, again square, is equals to, what is Q value? So this is 9801 into 10 to the power 4 into 10 to the power 8. So if you see, this will be cancelled. And what is 10 to the power 4 minus 10 square? So again you can take 10 square common, right? So 10 square minus 1 square is equals to 9801 into 10 to the power 4, and this will be cancelled. Now this is nothing but, what is 10 square minus 1? That is 99 square. 99 square is nothing but 9801. So you are getting 9801 is equals to 9801. So that means this option is correct. Option A is the answer. So instead of this, if you substitute like 100 plus k into 100 into, again 100 into k minus 100, if you do that, so it is going to take a lot of time. Instead of this, you can substitute values like this and you can check with the options. So option A is the correct answer. Let's see the next question. So again from the percentage topic, the petrol price shot up by 10% as a result of hike in crude oil prices. So there is petrol. So initially we don't know the price. Yes, they have given the price of the petrol before the hike is 90 rupees per liter. So initial price is 90 rupees per liter, and due to hike in the crude oil prices, there is 10% increase in the price. So what is the 10% increase in 90? So into 110 by 100. So this is nothing but 99 rupees per liter. So initial price of petrol is 90 per liter, after that 99 per liter. And a person travels 2200 kilometer every month and his car gives a mileage of 16 kilometer per liter. Next, by how many kilometers should he reduce his travel if he wants to maintain his expenditure at the previous level? So 90 rupees per liter. So with this petrol price, what is the expenditure being occurred? So he is traveling 2200 kilometer and the mileage of his car is 16 kilometer per liter. So that means for every 1 liter he can travel 16 kilometers. Now how many liters required to travel total 2200 kilometer? So that is 2200 by 16. So these many liters required, and 1 liter is 90 rupees. So what is the total expenditure? So that is into 90. So if you solve this, what you will get? So this is nothing but 245s and 2 8s. So this is nothing but, so 8 2s are 16 and so 8 2s are 16 and 6 0, 8 7s and 8 5s. So you are getting 275 into 45. So this is the total expenditure. Now in the second scenario, you have to keep the expenditure same. Now what is the total travel distance he has to reduce? So what we have to do? So the expenditure is same. So total cost is 275 into 45 rupees. So this is the expenditure. So with this expenditure, how many liters of petrol he will get with the new price? So 1 liter is 99 rupees. So by 99. So these many liters. So with these many liters, how much distance he can travel? With 1 liter he can travel 16 kilometer, that is mileage. So with these many liters he will travel into 16. So if you do this, so this is nothing but 333s and 315s. So this is 11 3s and 11 25s and 3 1s 3 5s. So this is nothing but, so 25 into 5. 1 minute. So 16 into 5 is 80. 80 into 25. So this is nothing but 2000 kilometers. Now you can find the difference. So the initial distance is 2200 kilometer. Now the new reduced distance is 2000. So the difference is 200 kilometer. So the answer is option B. Understood? Let's see the next question. So a 4-digit number n is such that when it is divided by 3569, it leaves a remainder of 1347 respectively. What is the smallest value of n? So whenever it is given like that, divided by 3569, first you have to find the LCM of the given numbers. So 3569. So what is the LCM? If you put 3 ones are 3 fives are 2s are and 3s are, and 2 3s are 6, 6 5s are 30, 33s are 90. So LCM is equals to 90. But they are asking what is the smallest 4-digit number. So what is the multiple of 90, which is the smallest 4-digit? So if you do 90 into 10, you will get 900. 90 into 11, you will get 990. So if you multiply with 12, 90 into 12, that is nothing but 1080. So this is the smallest 4-digit multiple of this LCM. So 1080. And they are giving that if they are dividing with 3, you are getting a remainder of 1. And with 5, you are getting 3. With 6, you are getting 4. With 9, you are getting 7. Now in all these cases, what is the residue? 3 minus 1 is 2. Here also 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now in these kind of question, just take out this residue from this 1080, you will get the answer. So 1080 minus 2, so that is 1078. So this is the answer. Option C. Now let's see the next question. What is the unit digit in the multiplication of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and up to 999? So these are all the odd numbers they have given. So if you multiply first two numbers, 1 3 is a 3, 3 5 is a 15. Now take the unit digit only. So 5 into 7 35, again 5, and 5 into 9 45, again 5, and after that 5 into 11 again 55, that is 5. So that means 5, if you multiply any odd number, you will get the unit digit same 5 only. So if you continue all this multiplication, you will get the unit digit as 5. So answer is option 5. Very easy question this is. Let's see the next question. So consider the first 100 natural numbers. How many of them are not divisible by any of the given numbers? So if you observe the given numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, they are the first 4 prime numbers. And we have to find which are the numbers which are not divisible by any of these numbers. So that means remaining all of them are prime numbers only. So 1 to 100, how many prime numbers are there? There are total 25 prime numbers. So if you remove these 4 prime numbers, how much you will get? 25 minus 4, that is 21. But you have to remember one thing, there is 1 also which is not divisible by any of these numbers. So 1 is not divisible by any of these numbers, right? So if you divide 1 with 7, you will get 7 zeros or 1 as the remainder, so not divisible. So you have to add one more. So there are 22 numbers. So that is nothing but option C. So again a very easy question. Let's see the next one. So 4 less than or equals to x less than or equals to 8, and similarly another inequality. And what is the ratio of maximum value of x plus y? So 4 less than or equals to x and less than or equals to 8. Now what are all the possible values for x? So that is nothing but 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now what is the second inequality? So 2 less than or equals to y less than or equals to 7. So what are all the possible values of y? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now what is the maximum value of x? So x plus y maximum. So this is nothing but, so to get the maximum value of x plus y, we have to consider the maximum digits here. So this is nothing but 8 and this is 7. 8 plus 7, that is 15. Now what is the minimum value of x minus y? Minimum value of x minus y. So for this what you have to do? Take minimum here and subtract the maximum. So what is the minimum? 4 and 7. 4 minus 7, that is minus 3. For example, if you take 5 minus 7, minus 2, but minus 3 is the minimum value. If you take 8 minus 7, you are getting 1. So what is the minimum value? So consider the minimum here, consider the maximum here. 4 minus 7 minus 3 is the minimum value. Now they are asking the ratio. So 15 by minus 3, that is nothing but minus 5. So if you see the options, none of the above, because the ratio is minus 5. So answer is option D, none of the above. Let's see the next question. P and K are prime numbers such that P square plus K is also a prime number less than 30. So what are the number of possible values? Again, we have to derive all the possibilities. So there are two numbers P and K. They are prime numbers. Again, P square plus K is also prime number. But P square plus K, this value is less than 30. Now what are all the prime numbers less than 30? So if you write them, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19 and 23, 29, right? So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23 and 29. Now P square plus K, it should be less than 30. So what do you mean by this? For example, if I take 11, 11 square, that is 121. Again, if I add K, that will be greater than 30, right? So we cannot put 11, and all the greater numbers we cannot put. So even if you put 7 also, 7 square, that is 49. So 49, if you add something, that will be greater than, so this is not satisfying this equation. So P's value can be 2, 3 and 5. So there are only 3 possibilities for P, that is 2, 3 and 5. Now take one by one case. So if P is equals to 2, so 2 square. So if you see this, if I am taking P's value 2, so 2 square plus, again you have to consider all the possibilities. So 2 square plus 3, so this is nothing but 7. So P square plus K is again a prime number. So 7 is a prime number. So there is one possibility. Again, if I take 2 square plus 5, so 2 square plus 5 means 9. So this is not a prime number, so not possible. Similarly, you have to take all the cases. So 2 square plus 7. So 2 square plus 7 means 4 plus 7, 11. So that is a prime number. So this is a possibility. And after that, 2 square plus 13, that is 17. Again, there is one more possibility. So 2 square plus 11 means, so 11 plus 4, that is 15. Sorry, this is also not possible. If you take 2 square plus 13, that is 17. Yes, it is possible. And 2 square plus 19, so that means 19 plus 4, that is 23, possible. And 2 square plus 23, so that will give you 27, not possible. And 2 square plus 29, that is greater than 30. So with 2 you will get all these possible values. Now if I take 3, P square is equals to 3. So P is equals to 3, sorry. So 3 square plus 2. So 3 square plus 2 means, so 3 square means 9. So 9 plus 3, 12, not possible. And 3 square, 9 plus 5, 14, not possible. 9 plus 7, 16, not possible. 9 plus 11, 20, not possible. 9 plus 13 and 9 plus 17. And odd number plus odd number you are adding, you will get even number, so which is not a prime number. So with 3 there are no possibilities. If you take the case of 5, so 5 square plus 2, so you are getting 25 plus 2, 27, not a prime number. And 5 square plus 3, 28, not a prime number. 5 square plus 5, so you are getting 30. So there are no possibilities with this also, right? Any mistake? So 3 square, with 3 there are no possibilities. So 3 square, that is 9. 9 plus 2, 11. So there is one possibility, sorry. So 3 square plus 2, this is 11. So this is one possibility. So how many total possibilities are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are total 5 possibilities. Option B is the answer. So little time consuming. You have to find all the possible values for k. Let's see the next question. So there are n sets of numbers, each having only 3 positive integers. LCM is equals to 1001 and HCF is equals to 1. What is the value of n? You have to understand the question. So there are 3 numbers. There are set of 3 numbers. For example, A, B, C. So for this set of numbers, the LCM is equals to 1001, HCF is equals to 1. So when HCF of set of numbers is equals to 1, they are called as co-prime numbers, right? So co-prime numbers means they will be having only one common factor, that is 1. So if you see 1001, if you do prime factorization, you can write it as 7 into 11 into 13. Now what are the total number of factors? So 7 to the power 1, 11 to the power 1, 13 to the power 1. So 1 plus 1 into 1 plus 1 into 1 plus 1. So there are total 8 factors. So 1, 7, 11, 13, and there are so many factors. Now out of these, if you take any 3 numbers, the LCM will be 1001, and also these 3 are prime numbers, so HCF will be 1. So minimum there will be 8 possible cases, right? Apart from that, you can take cases like this also, 1, 1 and 1001. So they have not given that they are distinct numbers like that, right? So 1, 1 and 1001. I will take another case, 1, 7 and 11 into 13. So this is also one case. So where LCM is 1001, HCF is 1 only. Because if you consider 1 and any other numbers, the HCF will be 1 only. So there will be more than 8 number of cases. So that is nothing but option D. Let's see the next question. So what is the maximum value of n such that 7 into 343 and up to 7777 it is divisible by 35 to the power n. So this is nothing but, in this expression, what is the power of 35, that you have to find. So 35 is nothing but 7 into 5. So how many number of 7 into 5 pairs are there in this expression, that we have to find. 7 into 343 is nothing but 7 cube. 385, that is nothing but 7 into 7 fives are, and again 7 fives are. So 55 is nothing but 5 into 11. So again 1000 means, so 1000 is nothing but 25 into 40. So what is 25? 5 square. 40 means again we can write it as 5 into 2 cube, right? And what is 2401? So 2401 is nothing but 7 into 343. So this is again 7 cube. Again, what is this one? 7 into 11111. Now in this expression, how many pairs of 7 into 5 are there? We have to find. So what is the power of 7? So this is 1, 3, 4, 5, and this is 6, 6 and 3, 9, and this is 10. 7 to the power 10 into, what is the power of 5? This is 1, 5, 1 plus 2, 3, and 3 plus 1, 4. So there are 5 fours. Now from this, what are the number of 7 into 5 pairs? So what is the lesser power that you have to consider? So 7 into 5 to the power 4 into 7 to the power 6. So these are the number of 7 into 5 pairs are there. So what is the value of n? That is option B. So 4 is the answer. So you just have to find what is the power of 7 into 5 pair, that multiplication pair. Next question. So this is from time, speed and distance. A tram overtakes two persons X and Y walking at an average speed of 3 km per hour and 4 km per hour. So there is a small tram. So this is, let's say the length of tram is L and it is moving like this, and there is one person. So this is the person X. He is also moving. So that means here you have to use the concept of relative speed. So he is moving with a speed of 3 km per hour. And this train crossed this person X in 8 seconds. Okay, so this is the thing, data given. Now you can apply, right? So time is equals to distance by speed. speed is equals to distance by time. From that, time is equals to distance by speed. So what is the time taken for the tram to cross this person? That is 8 seconds. But units are very important, 3 kmph. So convert these seconds into hours. So that means 8 by 3600 is equals to distance. So in these kind of questions, what is the distance travel? That is nothing but the length of the train. So length of the train L divided by what is the speed? Relative speed. So both are moving in the same direction. So you have to take the difference. Let's say the tram is moving at a speed of x kilometer per hour. So x minus 3. So this is one equation we got. Now the second case is, so this is the tram moving with x kmph. It crossed the second person, that is y, who is moving with a speed of 4 kilometer per hour. Again the train crossed in 9 seconds. So here the time is 9 seconds. Apply the same thing again. Time is equals to distance by speed. So what is time? 9. If you convert into hours, 9 by 3600, which is equals to what is the distance? Again length of the train. The relative speed is x minus 4. Now you have two equations. So from this you can equate, right? So if you do the cross multiplication, 3600 L is equals to 9x minus 36. Here also 3600 L is equals to 8x minus 24. You can equate this 3600 L. So what you will get? 9x minus 36 is equals to 8x minus 24. So from this 9x minus 8x, that is x is equals to 36 minus 24, that is nothing but 12 kmph. Now we got the speed of the tram. Now what they are asking, what is the length of the tram? So take this 12, substitute in any one of the equations. So if I substitute this one, 8 by 3600 is equals to length of the tram, which we have to find. X minus 3 is 12 minus 3, that is 9. So this is nothing but 9 ones are 9 400s, and this is nothing but 8 by, so 8 ones are 8 500s. So this is 1 by 500 kilometers. But the option answers are given in meters. So 1 by 500 into 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. So if you do this, you will get, sorry, this is not 500, this is 50. So 1 by 50 into 1000. So this is nothing but 20 meters. So the answer is option C, 20 meters. Let's see the next question. So this is from pipes and cisterns. A set of X pipes, a set X of 20 pipes can fill 70% of a tank in 14 minutes. So there is first set of pipes. So there are 20 pipes. They are filling 70% of the tank in 14 minutes. So this is the first condition given. After that, another set of 10 pipes are there. So second set, there are 10 pipes, 3 by 8 of the tank. They are filling in 6 minutes. So these two are inlet pipes. They are filling. See the next set. Third set Z, they are of 16 pipes. So 16 pipes, they can empty. So that means these are outlet pipe. They are emptying the tank. They are emptying half of the tank in 20 minutes. So half means 1 by 2 of the tank in 20 minutes. So these are all the conditions given. Now, if half of the pipes of set X are closed and only half of the pipes of the set Y alone open, and all pipes of Z are open, then how long it will take to fill 50% of the tank? Now how to do this? Half of the pipes means, so this one if you see, so 20 pipes, half of pipes of set X. So 20 pipes can fill the tank in 14 minutes. Now only half of the pipes, that means 10 pipes. So they will take double the time. So 14 into 2, that is 28 minutes they will take. Next, what is given? Half of pipes of set Y. Similarly, 10 pipes, in that only 5 pipes. How much time it will take for 3 by 8? 6 into 2, that is 12 minutes. Similarly, all pipes of the set Z. So here we will keep it as 10 pipes only. Now if you see, these 10 pipes, they are filling 28 minutes, but only 70% of the tank. But for 100%, how much time it will take? So 28 by 70 into 100. So this is nothing but 40 minutes, right? Now similarly 3 by 8 of the tank in 12 minutes. So total full tank will be 12 into 8 by 3. So this is nothing but 3 ones are 3 fours are 4 eights are 32 minutes, right? Similarly 1 by 2 of the tank in 20 minutes. So full tank in 40 minutes. So this is the individual capacity of all the set of pipes. Okay. Now, what are the capacities of, what are the efficiencies of all these pipes? We can apply the LCM method. So, individual is 40, 30 to 40. So, what is the LCM of 40 and 32? So, this is nothing but 4 tens and 4 eights. So, 2 fives and 2 fours, 5 4, 2 fives, 2 fours, right? 5 fours are 20, 22s are 40, 44s are 160. Right? Now what is the individual capacity of set X and set Y and set Z? So total number of units is 160, 160 by 40, that is 4 units. So that means in unit time, that is in 1 minute, X set can fill 4 units of the tank. Similarly 160 by 32, so what is 160 by 32? So 4 40s are 4 8s are, so this is 5 units. So they can fill 5 units. Similarly, what is the capacity of Z set of pipes? 160 by 40. So that means 4 units, but they are outlet pipes. So 4 units they can empty. Now what they are asking, if half of the pipes are closed and only half of the pipes of set Y are open. Set Y is open. Okay. So that means these are all working. They are all working, and also the third set of pipes are also open. If every pipe is open, in 1 minute how many units are being filled? So 4 minus 4, it will be cancelled, and this is 5 units. So in 1 minute 5 units are being filled. Now what is the total time taken to fill the entire tank? So that is total 160 units, 160 by 5, but they are asking only to fill half of the tank. So take by 2. So what is this? 2 ones and 2 eighties. So 5 ones and 5 sixteens. So 16 minutes it will take. So option D is the answer. So little lengthy question. It will take a lot of time to solve this one. I think we should skip these kind of questions because they are going to consume a lot of time for us. So the answer is 16 minutes to fill the 50% of the tank. Next question. So if n is a natural number, what is the number of distinct reminders? 1 to the power n plus 2 to the power n, that is divided by 4. So n is a natural number. So you can put all the values. For example, if I put n is equals to 1, what is the value of 1 to the power n plus 2 to the power n? So this is nothing but 1 plus 2 to the power, that is 2. Right? Sorry, 1 plus 2, that is 3. If I put n is equals to 2, 1 plus 2 square, that is 5. If I put n is equals to 3, 1 plus 2 cube, that is 9. If I put n is equals to 4, 1 plus 2 to the power 4, that is 17. If I put n is equals to 5, 1 plus 2 to the power 5, that is 33. Now, if this is divided by 4, what is the remainder? If 3 is divided by 4, 3 is the remainder. If you divide 5 with 4, 1 is the remainder. If you divide 9 with 4, again 1 is the remainder. Again divide with 4, 1 is the remainder. Divide with 4, 1 is the remainder. So for all the values of n except 1, you will get the same remainder. So there are only two possible remainders, that is 3 and 1. That's what they are asking. So total number of distinct reminders. So that is nothing but 2. Option C is the answer. So this is a very easy question. So you just can check by putting the values. So option C is the answer. Now next question. Let P is equals to QQQ. It is a 3-digit number. So that means numbers like 111, 222, 333. And what is the HCF of P and 481? Now if you see 481, If you do prime factorization, that is nothing but 1 into 13 into, so 13 is a factor, so 13 threes are 39 and 91 77. So 1 into 13 into 37. So this is the prime factorization of 481. Okay. Sorry, not prime factorization, just if you divide into factors, this is 481. So HCF is nothing but highest common factor you have to find. Now what is this P? So this is nothing but Q Q Q. So these are example numbers like 111, 222, 333, 444, like that. Now if you see, 222 can be written as 11 by 2. This is 111 into 3. This is nothing but 111 into 4. Now there is an important rule which is called rule 37. If there is any number r which is in the form r, it will always have a factor which is 37. So this is called rule 37. What is 111? That is nothing but 37 into 3, right? So if you take 222, this is which is nothing but 11 into 2. So that means 37 into 3 into 2. So 37 is always a common factor for these kind of numbers. This is called rule 37. So P can be written as, in that 37 is always a factor. Now in this 481 the highest factor is 37. So whatever factors let it have. So in P there is 37. Now what is the common factor, highest common factor? That is nothing but HCF. So which is 37. So simple understanding is required here. So the answer is option C. So the highest common factor HCF is 37. Now let's see the next question. What is the 489th digit in the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and so on. So this is again a simple understanding required. So this is the given number. So in this number, if you see how many single digits are there. So single digits are nothing but 129, right? So 129. So there are total 9 digits, right? So if I tell you what is the ninth digit in this number, so that is nothing but the last single digit, that is 9. If you see what are the double digits, so double digits in this, so normally double digits they start from 10 and up to 99, right? So 10, 11, 12, 13 up to 99. Now how many numbers are there? So 10 and 99 means total 99 numbers are there. Sorry, 90, total 90 are there. So 99 minus 10, 89 plus 1, that is total 92 digit numbers are there. So 90 numbers which are of 2 digits. So that means what are the total number of digits? So total number of digits is equals to 90 into, in each number there are 2 digits. So there are total 180 digits. Be careful, these are 180 digits. So if you consider from the left towards the right, first 9 digits are single digit numbers. Next 180 digits, they contains double digit numbers. So if I ask you 9 plus 180, what is the 189th digit? What is the 189th digit? So that is nothing but 99. It will end with 99, right? So 9 is the 189th digit. But they are asking 489th digit. So 489 minus 189, which is nothing but 300. So next 300 digits we have to consider. So that means we have to apply 3 digit numbers also. Now if you see what are all the 3 digit numbers? 3 digit number starts with 100, 101, 102 and so on up till 999. But how many are there? Total 900 numbers are there, but we don't need 900. We just need 300th. Okay, so this is the 100th one. Sorry, 489 minus 189, that is 300. So 300th means, so that is nothing but 299, right? So 399. So in these 3 digit numbers which are starting with 100, 100, 101, what is the 300th number? That is 399. So they are asking 489th digit. So what is the unit digit of this number? That is 9. So answer is option D. 9 is the answer. Now let's see the next question. So this is again time and work. X can complete 1/3 of a certain work in 6 days. So similar question they have given in the pipes and cisterns, that is 50%, similar to that only. Here again we can apply the LCM method. X can complete 1/3 of the work in 6 days. So that means full work he will complete in 18 days, right? So 1 by 3 is 6, means total work is 6 into 3, 18 days. Similarly, Y can complete 1/3 of the same work in 8 days. So total work, 100% of the work in 24 days. Right? Next, Z can complete 3/4 of the work. So Z can complete 3/4 of the same work in 12 days. Now full work he will complete in 12 into 4 by 3. So this is nothing but 3 4 is 16 days. So this is the given data. Next, what they are asking, all of them working together for n days and X and Z quit. After that, Y alone finished the remaining work in 8 and 2 by 3 days. So what is n equal to? So when you have the individual timings, apply the LCM method. So 18, 24 and 16. So if you put 2 nines are, 2 12s are, 2 8s are, and 3 3s are, 3 4s are, and 8. So if you put 4, 3 4 ones are and 4 twos are. So what is the LCM? So 3 twos are 6, 6 fours are 24, 24 twos are 48, and 48 threes are 120 plus 24, that is 144. So total units of work is 144 units. Now in unit time, how many units X will complete? So LCM method, just our LCM method only. So 144 by 18. So this is 144 by 24. This is 144 by 16. So this is nothing but 9, and this is nothing but 24 into 4 6 24 6 120. So this is 6 units. And what is 18? 18 into 6 means 60, and sorry, 18 into 8 is a 144. So 8 units. So I'm just applying LCM method. Now what is the condition given? All of them worked together for n days. For the first n days, everyone worked. So in those n days, how many units completed? N into 8 plus 6 plus 9. So this is nothing but 8 plus 6, 14. 14 plus 9, that is 23. 23 units completed in the first n days. After that, Y alone worked for remaining 8 and 2 by 3 days. So what is 8 and 2 by 3? 8 3 is 24, 24 plus 2, that is 26 by 3. So in these 26 by 3, only Y worked. So if Y works, what are the capacity? 6 units is equals to total work completed. Total work is 144 units. So if you do this, 3 ones are and 3 twos are, 26 twos are 52. So if you take 52 minus 140, 144 minus 52, so this is nothing but 92. So what is the value of n? 92 by 23. So that is nothing but 4. So the answer is 4. The value of n is 4. Understood? Let's see the next question. So what is the remainder when 9 plus 9 to the power 4, 9 to the power 5, and up to 9 to the power 100, which is divided by 6. So you just have to take this expression 9 to the power 4, 9 to the, and up to 9 to the power 100. So which is divided by 6. So we have to apply the simplification rule. So take the first one. So this is nothing but 9 into 9 into 9. So which is divided by 6. So 9 divided by 6, what is the remainder? 3. Similarly 3 and 3. So 3 into 3, again remainder is 3. So 3 into 3, 9 divided by 6. So the remainder is 3. So in this case, the remainder is 3. In this case, the remainder is 3. And up to 100. So how many numbers are there? Total 100 minus 2. So 98 times 3 remainder is there. So 3 into 98 by 6. Now what is the remainder of 98 by 6? 6 6 are 96, so 2 is the remainder. So 3 into 2, 6 by 6. 6 by 6, what is the remainder? 0. So therefore answer is option A. So just a minute. Time ఎంత అయింది? Let's see the next question. So in a T20 cricket match, 3 players X, Y, Z scored a total of 37 runs. So 3 players are there. What is the total score given? So X plus Y plus Z, which is 37. And the ratio of number of runs scored by X to the number of scores scored by Y. So that is nothing but X by Y, which is equals to the ratio of number of runs scored by Y to the score by Z. So Y by Z. So you are having two equations here. So y square is equals to x into z, and again x plus y plus z is equals to 37. And if you see all the given statements, value 1 is equals to runs scored by x and y and 2 z. But from these equations, so we cannot find the individual scores because data is insufficient. So from this, we cannot determine the individual scores. So cannot be determined. Option D is the answer. Let's see the next question. So again, this is statement based question. There are two statements. There exists a natural number which when increased by 50% can have its number of factors unchanged. For example, take any example in these kind of questions. Let's take 2. If it is increased by 50, so that is nothing but 2 into 150 by 100. So this is 50. So it will become 3. So 2 is becoming 3. So we have to check whether the number of factors is there any change or not. What are the number of factors for 2? So that is nothing but 1 and 2. So here also 1 and 3. So number of factors here is 2. Here is also 2. So there exists a number. So when we find any example for this, so that means this statement is correct. So statement 1 is correct. So similarly, take example for the second statement also. There exists a natural number which when increased by 150 percentage. So if there is 2, if you increase by 150 percentage, so that means 100 plus 50 percentage, you will get 5. So here also what are the number of factors? So 2, 1 and 2, for 5, 1 and 5. So here also number of factors is 2, number of factors is 2. So there is no change. So that means for statement 2 also there is a possibility. So statement 2 is also correct. So what is the answer? Both 1 and 2. So you can substitute any values in order to check the statements. Let's see the next question. So P plus Q is equals to 10. Again, two statements were given. So value 1, which is nothing but maximum value of P into Q, where P and Q are positive integers. So P plus Q is equals to 10. This is the given equation. Now, when P and Q will be maximum, take all the possibilities. You can write like 2 plus 8, which is 10, but 2 into 8 is 16. So this will be maximum When P and Q are the same, so that is nothing but 5 plus 5. So which is 10. So 5 into 5, that is 25. So take any possibility, you will get value less than 25. For example, if you take 6 and 4, 6 fours are 24. If you take 3 and 7, 3 sevens are 21. So if the P is equals to Q, then only you are getting the maximum value. So what is the maximum value? So value 1 is equals to 25. Now what is the second value? Maximum value of P into Q when P is greater than minus 6 and Q is greater than or equals to minus 4. Here also I can take the same values, right? So P and P I will take same 5 because 5 is greater than or equals to 6. Similarly, I can take 5 for Q also because 5 is again greater than minus 4 and 5 plus 5 is 10. So here also you will get the maximum value, that is 25. So what is the value 1? What is the relationship between these two values? So value 1 is equals to value 2. So option C is the answer. Let's see the next question. So this is from the average, again an easy question. The average of three numbers P, Q, R is K. So that means K is equals to P plus Q plus R by 3. P is as much more than the average. So that means P minus this average, which is equals to Q is less than the average. So K minus Q. So from this we can find P plus Q is equals to 2K, right? So P plus Q is equals to 2K. So this is the first equation. Now what is the value of R? So in this you can substitute this value of 2K, right, instead of P plus Q. So K is equals to 2K plus 3, 2K plus R by 3. So from this 3K is equals to 2K plus R. So 3K minus 2K, that is nothing but K is equals to R. So that's what being asked in the question. So what is the value of R? That is nothing but K. Option A is the answer. Let's see the next question. Again, statement based question. X is a real number between 0 and 1. So that means X will take values such as 0 0.1, 0 0.5, so anything. Which of the following statements are correct? So the first one is x square greater than x cube. Second one is x greater than square root of x. So again take any example and just substitute in the place of x. Let's take 1 by 2. So the first statement is x square greater than x cube. If I take 1 by 2, so 1 by 2 square is greater than 1 by 2. So check whether this is correct or not. So this is nothing but 1 by 4. So this is nothing but 1 by 6. So which is the greater one? So when you are comparing two fractions, if the numerator is same, whichever is having the less denominator. So 1 by 4. So this is the greater value. So statement 1 is satisfying. So statement 1 is correct. And what is the second statement? X to the power x is greater than square root of x. Here also take any value. For example, I will take 1 by 4 because square root of 1 by 4, so the calculation will be easier. So 1 by 4 is greater than square root of 1 by 4 means 1 by 2. So which is the bigger fraction here? So 1 by 2, but here there is greater than, it should be less than. So statement 2 is not satisfying. So statement 2 is not correct. So what is the answer? 1 only, option A. Let's see the next question. So the difference between any two natural numbers is 10. What can be said about the natural numbers which are divisible by 5 and lie between these two numbers? So understand the question carefully. There are two natural numbers. For example, I will take 30 and 20. So the difference is 10. Now how many numbers are there between those two numbers which are divisible by 5? So that means multiples of 5. For example, if I take 30 and 20, 30 minus 20 is 10. So what are the numbers which are multiples of 5 which are between these two? So 25 is there. Now how many such numbers will be existing? So that's what being asked in the question. For example, if I take 21 and 11, so here also the difference is 10 only. Here how many number of 5, how many 5 multiples are there? 15 and 20. So what is the answer? There can be more than one such number. Option C. So if you take this example, you are getting only one 5 multiple. But if you change it like this, 20 minus 11, I will also take 17 minus 7, then also difference is 10. But what are all the multiples? 10 and 15. So there are two 5 multiples are there. So that means there can be more than one such number. C is the answer. So with this, we have completed the quantitative aptitude at the math section. Now Bindu ma'am will take up the logical reasoning.
Hello everyone, this is Sima Bindu. So I'll be taking the logical reasoning part for a CSAT 2025 paper. So as already discussed by Prashant sir, the weightage has more or less remained the same. So we have already discussed all the topics in a CSAT crash course 2025. Like we have gotten questions from coding, decoding, or the number series, or the data sufficiency. The weightage has more or less remained the same as the previous years. So the pattern we can see it's getting repeated year by year. Okay. We'll start with the first question. So we are taking up the set A paper. So according to the set A, the question numbers will be same. So first is the 8th question in the set A. This is a question from calendar topic. What comes at X and Y respectively in the following sequence? So it is kind of sequence and the calendar combined. They have given a sequence of months. They are asking what should come in the place of X and in the place of Y. So we can try to identify any particular sequence or any particular logic is happening in this entire series. First, you can be thrown off by immediately saying January to January. What is the relation? Because the same month is getting repeated. Let's say there is a difference of 0 in between January and January. And then between January and December, can I say there is a difference of -1? The previous month is getting here. And then December to October, can I say there is a difference of -2? There are 2 months in between. The previous month is getting here. So in the same logic, if I do -3, October -3, July will come. And then from July to March, we have to apply -4. It is getting satisfied. Okay. And then March to October is -5. Between March and October, 5 months are there. And then October to Y, in the same logic, -6 should be there, which we will get April. And again, April to September, -7, it is getting fulfilled. So simply 0, -1, -2, 1 month, the preceding month is we are getting here. The sequence is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So what are they asking? X and Y. So the answer will be July and April, option B. Okay, clear? Let's see the next question. This is 15th question. This is from the topic of cubes and dices. A solid cube is painted yellow on all its faces. The cube is then cut into 60 smaller but equal pieces by making the minimum number of cuts. Which of the following statements is correct? Okay, we have discussed such kind of questions where the cube is painted on all sides and then they're asking how many smaller cubes are there, where maybe one side is painted or two sides are painted or all the sides are painted. All the such kind of questions we have discussed already. So what are they saying in statement 1? The minimum number of cuts is 9. And statement 2, the number of smaller pieces which are not painted on any face is 6. Select the correct answer, 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 not 2. Okay, now what are they saying? A solid cube is there. It is cut into 60 smaller but equal pieces. The first statement is minimum number of cuts. We have to find out. See, let's say I'm dividing a cube. Let's say I'm making 2 cuts. Then 3 pieces are there. Okay. So let's say I'm making 4 cuts or 3 cuts. Then 4 pieces are there. So how many pieces, how many cuts we are making? We are getting plus 1 piece. I'm considering one phase for the simplification. So how many are the number of cuts we are making plus 1 extra piece we are getting. But these are the maximum number of cuts. So here 60 pieces if they're saying, had they asked the maximum number of cuts, it would have been 59 because 59 plus 1 is 60. But here they're asking about the minimum number of cuts. So let's see what's happening here. 60. Let's do the prime factorization. Can I write it as 2 into 2 into 3 into 5? Correct? And then 2 into 2 I am writing it as 4 into 3 into 5. 60 I am simply writing in the terms of prime factorizations. Okay. Now cube is a 3-dimensional object. So can we say there is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. Okay, in the 3 dimensions. So let's say this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, this is the z-axis. So these are the number of pieces, I can say, right? If the total number of pieces are 60, then it is 4 into 3 into 5. 3 different pieces I have divided it into. This can be the x-axis pieces, this is the y-axis, this is the z-axis. These are the number of pieces in each dimension. Okay. Now we have to know the number of cuts, not the pieces. So we have already seen if these are the pieces, now cuts will be 1 lesser. So how many number of cuts we are making? We are getting 1 extra piece. So for cuts, it is going to be 3 by 2 by 4. Correct? Simply minus 1 I am doing from each piece in each dimension. So cuts I am getting 3, 2 and 4. Now what are they asking? The minimum number of cuts. The total number of cuts we have to see now. That will be simply 3 plus 2 plus 4, which will be 9. Clear? So this statement is correct. We also have the formulae for such to determine such cuts. Let's say nx minus 1, ny minus 1, nz minus 1. This is nothing but the same logic we have applied here. If you understand the concept, the formula is easier. Okay. Simply we are doing the prime factorization. We are determining how many pieces are there using that. And then for getting the number of cuts, simply minus 1 we are doing for the each piece in each dimension. So in the x-axis we got 3, in the y-axis 2, in the z-axis 4. These are the total number of cuts. Okay. Now the second statement, they are asking the number of smaller pieces which are not painted on any face. Okay, they are asking about the pieces which are not painted on any face. Okay, let's try to visualize the cube. Let's say I am saying this is the cube. Now, how many cuts did we have? 4 by 3 by 2. Okay, these are the number of cuts for each axis we got. Let's say 4, I am dividing here, one side as 4. 4 cuts I am making on this side. And then, so this 4 cuts will be joined here. Let's say 3 cuts on this side, on this axis. Okay, 3 cuts and then 2 cuts on this. Okay, now number of cubes which are not painted, where will the such cubes lie? Inside the cube. So outside entirely it is painted in yellow. So the not painted cubes, this will be inside somewhere here in the middle. Okay, so simply here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever are on the edges, these will be painted. Whatever are on the corners or edge of any face, those will be painted at least one color or two color. So whatever are on the corners, they will be painted three colors, and whatever are along the edges, they will be painted two colors, and whatever are on the surface, they will be painted on one side. Okay. Now whatever are there in between, those are the ones that we need which are not painted on any side. Okay. So now one layer is this. So one layer and two layers we have in one side, and this side we have one layer. So this one layer in between, let's say three cubes are there. Now these three cubes, they will be repeated in both of these middle layers. So 3 will be here and 3 will be here. Total 3 plus 3, 6 will be here in the middle, which are not painted at all. So the number of smaller pieces which are not painted on any face is 6. That is the correct statement. So the answer will be both 1 and 2. Okay. Let's see the next question. This is 16th question. If 7 into 24 is 25 and 12 into 16 is 20, then what is 16 into 63 equal to? This is a number coding kind of question. So can you try to see what is the logic happening here? So 25, in order to derive 25, there is some kind of connection or logic happening between 7 and 24. So can you say 7 square and 24 square? What is 7 square plus 24 square? Square root. That will be square root of 625. We will get the answer as 25. Let's see the same logic for 12 into 16. 12 square plus 16 square, square root. We will get 144 plus 256. Square root of 400. We will get 20. The same logic is getting satisfied here also. So what's happening here simply? Let's say this is A into B equal to C. So C is nothing but square root of A square plus B square. That is the logic happening here. Now apply the same logic to 16 and 63. 16 square plus 63 square, square root. Okay. Now 16 square is 256. 63 square you will get 3969. What will be the answer? 4225. That is nothing but 65. The answer is option C, 65. Okay, simple enough. The logic is simply, in order to get this number, we are squaring both these, adding them, and then square root of that obtaining number. Okay. Now next question, 19th question. Consider the following statements. Now two statements they have given. Which of the statements above is or are correct? First is, if A less than or equal to B greater than C, less than D greater than E, greater than F, greater than or equal to G, equal to H, then B is always greater than E. Now between A to H, they are giving some kind of relation or connection between each letters. Let's say one is greater than or less than or equal to. And then they are asking if B is always greater than E. Let's see. A is less than or equal to B. Now B is greater than C, C less than D, greater than E. They are asking the relation between B and E. B is always greater than E. Can we say that? See, B is greater than C, D is greater than E. But in between we have C is less than D. If C is less than D, that means between B and E also, B can be less than E. We cannot say for sure that B is greater than E. Let's say here also there is greater than, C is greater than D. Then B greater than C, C greater than D, D greater than E, automatically B will also be greater than E. But in between, they have changed the direction or changed the symbol. So we cannot say for sure that B is greater than E. So the first statement will be incorrect. B is always greater than E, we cannot say that. Now the second statement, Between PQRS, TUVW, again similar kind of relation they are giving, greater than and less than. And they are asking, then S is always less than V. Now let's try to see this equation similarly. S and V they are asking. So S equal to T less than or equal to U equal to V. S is always less than V. Can we say that? See, let's consider S is equal to T. T is less than or equal to U means let me consider T equal to U. Then U equal to V. Then S is equal to V in this case. So S is not lesser than V in this particular case. Maybe if T is less than U, then S is lesser than V, that possibility is there. But S is always less than V. We cannot say that because in this case S is equal to V. Correct? So this statement is incorrect. So which of the statements above are correct? Neither one nor two. Both the statements are incorrect. Okay? Now let's try to see the next question. 30th question. This is again a letter coding sequence. So we have solved all these kinds of questions in our class. Letter coding, number coding, mixed coding. Okay? This is a continuous series also. Okay? They have given dashes and they are saying it follows a certain pattern. Which one of the following completes the sequence? Now, how did we solve this kind of questions? Either one way is simply substitute whatever options are there, substitute these in the blank spaces. These letters will substitute in the blank spaces and we try to see if there is any particular pattern going on. Or simply we can count how many letters are there, try to divide them into equal parts. Let's say here total 18 digits are there, total 18 places are there. So we can either divide it into 6 parts of 3s or 3 parts of 6s. We can divide into such way and try to see what's happening. We can either do this and try to see CCC, let's say CCC, CCC, ABB, ABB, ABB. So BCBAC. Option C is the correct answer. This is one way to solve it, or the other way simply substitute each of the option until you get the correct pattern. Okay, that can be longer sometimes when more digits are there, more blank spaces are there. Let's say option is in the D, the correct answer is in option D. Then you have to substitute all of the options A, B, C, D and try to see what is the pattern or logic going on. That might be time consuming at times. In that times, you can divide simply into equal parts and try to see the logic. Okay. Now try to see the next question. 36. This is again a number series. Okay. What is the x in the sequence 24x, 12, 18, 36, 90? So here is x. They are asking what is the logic. There is some kind of logic happening in the entire series or there is some kind of pattern. Based on that logic, what should be the value of x? Can I say 24 into 0.5 or 1 by 2? That is going to be 12. Now 12 into 1, that is 12. Now 12 into 1.5. We are getting 18. Are you able to understand what's the sequence going on here? Simply 24 into 0.5, 12 we are getting. 12 into 1, 12. Now again this 12 into 1.5, we are getting 18. Now 18 into 2, we are getting 36. Isn't so? Now 36 into 2.5, 90. So simply the pattern that is going on here is 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Based on that logic, we are getting the answer 12. So option B is correct, 12. Okay. Now next question. So there is direction, average, there is a combination of multiple topics they have asked. There is clock, directions, average, everything. Okay, let's see. 37th question. P and Q walked along a circular track. They start at 5 a.m. from the same point in opposite directions. P walks at an average speed of 5 rounds per hour and Q walks at an average speed of 3 rounds per hour. How many times will they cross each other between 5:20 a.m. and 7 a.m.? Okay, now what are they saying? P and Q are starting at this particular point, let's say, on a circular track. They're going in opposite directions. They've said opposite directions. Let's say P is going this side and Q is going this side. Now they've given the average speed of P and Q individually. What is the average speed of P? 5 rounds per hour. And then what is the average speed of Q? 3 rounds per hour. Okay. P and Q individually, what is the average speeds? We have them. Now, they're asking how many times will they cross each other. They've given a time frame between 5:20 a.m. and 7 a.m. and how many times between this time they will cross each other. Let's try to see what is the combined average speed. Can I say P plus Q? Because they are going in the opposite side. If they're going in the same side, it would have been P minus Q. So P plus Q, 5 plus 3, that is 8 rounds per hour. That is the combined average speed of both P and Q. Now we know we have the formula for speed or velocity, whatever. So time, we have to determine how many times they have to cross each other. How can we do that? Let's say first if we determine the time at which they will cross each other or the interval at which they cross each other, if we get the particular time, then after each such interval they will cross each other. Let's say for example after some time t, P and Q are crossing here. Then again after the same time they will cross each other. So first we have to determine the time. Okay. So we have already the speed, average speed. Now time will be the total distance upon the speed. So the total distance is one circular path we are saying within the one circular track upon 8. 1 upon 8, 1 round upon rounds per hour. So that is time is going to be 1 by 8 hours. Okay. Now this 1 by 8 hours, let's try to convert into minutes. Time is 1 by 8 hours. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So simply I am multiplying it with 60 minutes. So 1 by 8 into 60, we are going to get 7.5 minutes. Clear? Or the 7.5 minutes I can also say as 7 minutes 5 seconds. Clear? Minutes and seconds. Now what are they asking? How many times will they cross each other? Now from 5 a.m. they are starting. So can you say the next time they will be at 5:07 a.m. they will meet at, because 7 minutes is the interval at which they are meeting. 7.5 minutes. So 5:07, 5 seconds, that's when they are first meeting. And then next will be 7 plus 7, 14, 10. This will be the next interval at which they are meeting. Now they are asking between 5:20 to 7 a.m. Can you try to calculate how much time is there between 5:20 and 7 a.m.? So between 5 and 7, 2 hours are there. First let's try to see from the starting point to 7 a.m. 5 to 7, 2 hours are there. That means 2 into 60, 120 minutes are there total. Total 120 minutes, 120 upon 7.5. because 7.5 is the interval at which they are meeting. Total is 120 minutes. So in order to get how many times they are meeting, 120 upon 75, 7.5, that is 15. Now what is this 15? From 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. total combined. Okay. It will be 16. So between 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. if it is 16 times total. So we have already seen at 5:07 one interface is happening, at 5:14 one is happening, but they are asking between 5:20 and 7. So these two we have to subtract from here, -2. Okay, and then one more interval, it is happening at 7 a.m. So this also have to subtract because they are asking between 5:20 and 7. So 7 will not be counted. So -1, 16 minus 3, that will be 13. So the answer is option B, 13. Clear? Simply total time interval we have calculated first. So total time we have divided by 7.5, we got 16. Out of those, 2 times are happening before 5:21 at 5:07, the other is 5:14. So simply I have subtracted those 2 times and the other time is happening at 7 a.m. I have subtracted that as well. Alright, so total we are getting 13, option B is the correct answer. Now let's see next question, 38. If P equal to plus, Q equal to minus, R equal to into, S equal to plus, then insert the proper notations between successive numbers in the equation. Okay, they have given an equation. They are asking what should be in the places of blank spaces. Again, this is a kind of coding question. S is into, S should be. Okay. Now, in such kind of questions, what we can do? Simply substitute whatever is there here. Substitute in this blanks and then try to see the option. Let's say first option SRPQ. So 60 into 15. R is, okay, S is divided by. So 60 divided by 15. Now P is plus 3. Next is R into 20. Next Q is minus 4. Now we have the BODMAS rule to solve such equations. First we have to solve the division and then multiplication. Try to see if we are doing this, are we getting 20? Simply 60 by 15 will solve first and then 3 into 20 we have to solve and then this plus and minus will be solved in the last. Addition and subtraction will be solved in the last. Okay. Now this is 60 minus 4. 4. Okay. We are getting the answer 60. But we have to get 20. So option A is not satisfying. This is incorrect. Let's see the second option now. Just simply try to substitute whatever letter is there, whatever is the symbol that is corresponding to each letter, substitute in this. Okay. Now QRP is 60 minus 15 into 3 plus 20. S is divided by 4. Now again, first division, this we have to solve and then multiplication we have to solve. Okay. 60 minus 45 plus 5. Okay, 60 minus 45 plus 5 is 20. What do we have? 20. So option B is the correct answer. Got it? So simply we have to substitute whatever they are giving in the options and try to see in the equation. Let's try to see the next question. Next is 49th question. What are they saying? A mobile phone has been stolen. There are 3 suspects P, Q and R. They were questioned knowing that only one of them is guilty. Their responses are as follows. Now P, Q and R, all the responses by each person is given. What are they saying? Only one of them is guilty. Let's try to understand what they are saying. Let's say P, Q and R are there. P is saying I did not steal, Q stole it. So let's say only one of them is guilty means only one person is lying. So we assume the assumption is the guilty person is lying and the other two innocent persons are speaking the truth. So we have to, out of these three people, let's consider the each case where one person is lying and the other two are telling the truth. Now let's see P is guilty. I am considering the first case of P could be guilty. Then P is lying. I did not steal, Q stole it. That means P is the one who stole it according to this. And then Q and R did not steal, I did not steal. He's saying he did not steal, he did not steal. That is correct. I did not steal, I did not know who did it. R is also saying I did not steal. So this condition is getting satisfied. Now let's consider the next case where Q is the guilty one. That means Q is lying and P and R should be telling the truth. Now P, I did not steal, Q stole it. P say Q is the one who stole it. That is the truth. Now Q is saying R did not steal, I did not steal. He is saying R did not steal, Q did not steal. But according to P's statements, Q stole it. So there is a contradiction here. Let's see the third statement. R is saying I did not steal, I did not know who stole it. He did not steal, that is correct. But here we are getting a contradiction. P is saying Q stole it, Q is saying he did not steal it. If he did not steal, that means Q is the guilty person. If we consider, it should be opposite. That means Q is the one who stole it and R is the one who stole it. Two persons stole it, that is what we are getting, but only one of them is guilty. So this is not getting satisfied. Next, let's consider the case of R is the guilty person. That means R is telling the false, the other two persons are saying the truth. Now P is saying I did not steal, Q stole it. That means Q stole it according to P. Q is saying R did not steal, I did not steal. That means Q is saying he also did not steal, R also did not steal. Again, there's a contradiction here. Then R is saying I did not steal, I do not know who did it. But R is guilty means he is lying. So I did not steal means he has stolen it. So here also contradiction. So two cases we are getting the contradiction. So this is also not possible. That means both this case 2 and 3 where Q is guilty and R is guilty is incorrect. So only one case is getting satisfied, that is P is guilty. So according to that, who stole the mobile phone? Option A, P is correct. Okay. Simply try to note down all the cases where it's possible, whether something is getting contradicted or it is getting satisfied. That way we'll able to derive the answer. Let's see the next question. Next is question number 50. Three teams P, Q and R participated in a tournament in which the teams play with one another exactly once. A win fetches a team 2 points, winners 2 points and a draw 1 point. A team gets no point for a loss. Each team scored exactly 1 goal in the tournament. The team P got 3 points, Q got 2 points and R got 1 point. Which of the following statements is correct? Now they have given some bunch of information here. Based on that, they have given two statements and they are asking whether statements are correct or not. First statement, the result of the match between P and Q is a draw with the score 0-0. Second statement, the number of goals scored by R against Q is 1. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? See, first let's see P, Q and R. Three teams are there. What are they saying? Teams play with one another exactly once. That means P and Q, Q and R, P and R. All of them are playing with each other once. So total 3 matches are happening. Let's say P and Q 1 match. Can I say P and R 1 match? and then Q and R one match. Total number of matches are 3. They are playing with each other once. A win fetches 2 points. Let's say win is 2 points. And then draw 1 point. For draw, we are getting only 1 point. And then a team gets no point for a loss. Let's say there's loss, then 0 points. Okay, simply all the number of points I've noted down. And then the team P got 3 points. P, they're saying, let's say P got 3 points. Q got 2 points. And then R got 1 point. So these are the total number of points for each of them in the entirety of the 3 games. Total 3 games are there. Now what is the first statement? The result of match between P and Q was a draw with a score 0-0. Let's say 0-0 is the score. Draw and draw. Now if P is 3 points, that means total 2 matches are played by P. So one should be win and the other should be draw. Because for win we are getting 2 points and the draw we are getting 1 point. That means P has 1 win and 1 draw compulsorily. And then R 1 point means that is draw, 1 draw. Because for draw we are getting 1 point. So R has 1 draw compulsorily. And then Q has 2 points. That can be either 2 draws. If Q is drawing 2 draws, then 2 points. Or it can also be 1 win and 1 loss. Because for win we have 2 points, for loss we have 0 points. So Q has 2 points means there are 2 cases possible. Either both of the cases can be draw and draw or the other one can be 1 win and 1 loss. So let's try to see which of them is the correct possibility. So let's say P and Q, first case I am considering 0 and 0 draw. Then draw and draw, 1 point and 1 point each of them will be getting. Okay. Then P and R. Now for P 1 point is over here, which is draw. Next is win remaining. That will be win and loss. Win means 2 points and loss means 0 points for R. So P entirely 3 points are done. Now Q and R. Q1 is draw. That means the other possibility is draw only, that is left. Now draw and draw. That means 1 and 1. So for R, one draw is there, that is getting satisfied. And for Q, 2 draws are there, that is also getting satisfied. If we consider 1 win and 1 loss for Q instead of draw here, that is not getting satisfied. Okay, simply P and Q draw and draw, that means 1 and 1 point we are having here. Then P and R, win and loss, 2 and 0 points we are getting. And then Q and R, if we draw and draw, 1 and 1 points we are getting. In that logic, all the total number of points for P, Q and R are getting satisfied. Now what are they asking in the statement? The result of the match between P and Q is a draw with the score 0-0. Correct? Statement 1 is correct. Second statement is the number of goals scored by R against Q is 1. So they are saying Q against R, both of them draw 1. So 1 goal is scored, correct? So which of the statements are correct? Both 1 and 2, option C is the correct answer. Clear? Let's try to see the next question. Next is 55th question. Again, this is a blood relation question. We have solved such questions in our classes already in a CSAT crash course. Let's try to see what are they saying. P is the brother of Q and R, S is R's mother, T is P's father. How many of the following statements are definitely true? Again, they have given a bunch of information or the relation between some people like P, Q, R, S and T. Based on that information and the relation, they are asking which of this can be true. First, let's try to draw the family tree based on the given information. P is the brother of Q and R. Now P, Q and R are siblings. They will be on the same level. P is the brother means he is a male person. Q and R, we do not know the gender yet. So I am not assigning them either male or female. Now S is R's mother. Now S is R's mother means S is inherently the mother of P and Q because all of them are siblings. Now S is the mother, female, on the upper level. Okay. T is P's father. Again, T is P's father means inherently the father of Q and R as well. So T and S are mother and father. This is male, this is female. T and S are a couple. Now, how many of the following statements are definitely true? Okay, this is the information we have. We have drawn the family tree. Now, let's say S and T are a couple. Correct? That's what we have drawn. S and T are mother and father. Q is T's son. We cannot say that. We do not know whether Q is a male or female. We do not know the information. Q could be either son or daughter. So, that is incorrect. T is Q's father. Correct? Next, S is P's mother. S is P's mother. Correct? R is T's daughter. R is T's daughter. Again, do we know the gender of R? No. So, this is incorrect. P is S's son. P we know it's a male. So, it will be son. This is also correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. They are asking select the correct answer using the code below. Option C. Only 4 are correct. Okay. Until and unless they are saying whether it's a brother or sister or son or daughter, we do not assume the gender of the person. That is what we have discussed in our classes also. So based on that, we cannot say these are correct for sure. They can be either son or daughter. So only 4 are the correct answer. Okay. Let's see the next question. Next is 56th question. Again, this is a coding type of question. Mixed coding between letters and numbers they are giving. If no is coded as 210, not is coded as 4200 and note is coded as 21,000, then how is notes coded? Let's see what's happening here. No is coded as 210. Now not is coded as 4200. 4200 upon 210. If I do, can I say 20? 4200 upon 210, it's 20. Now, to NO, T is getting added. What is the place of T in the alphabet? 20. Correct. In A, B, C, D, in the alphabet, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, T's position is 20. So, if I divide, I'm getting 20, T is getting added. Let's see if it is getting satisfied for the next also. 21,000 upon 4200. Can I say 5? Okay. Now 5, not and note. E is getting added here. Now what is the position of E? 5. So simply E is added because when we divide it, we are getting 5. Now they are asking notes. Now S is there. What is the digit or the position for S? T is 20. That means S is 19. So whatever code is for notes, if we divide it by 21,000, we have to get 19. That means the answer will be 21,000 into 90, which is 399,000. Option A is the correct answer. Understood the logic? What's going on here? Simply if we divide the number by the previous number, whichever number we are getting, the corresponding letter in the alphabet at that particular place, we are simply adding it. Okay? Let's see the next question. Again, coding question, letter coding. If France is coded as 654321 and Germany is coded as 9158437, then how is Yemen coded? This is a very simple question. See, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 letters are there in France. The numbers are 6. Again, Germany. 7 are there. Here also 7. So, can we try to see maybe the each letter is corresponding to the same digit? If I say in that logic, if Yemen, they are asking for Yemen. Now France is 654,321. E is 1. Okay, E is 1. So in the place of E, I have put M. And N will be 3. N will be 3. Now M in Germany is 8. And then Y is 7. 71813. Option D is the correct answer. Simple question. Simply whatever letters are there, whatever numbers are there, each letter in the same position is corresponding to each number in the same position. So based on that, I have extracted the numbers for each letter and I have written the code for Yemen, which we got 71813. Clear? Let's see the next question. This is question number 60. What is x in the sequence 1, 3, 6, 11, 18, x 42? Again, a number series or the number sequence they have given. They are asking what should come in the place of x. Let's try to see what's happening here. First, let's see the simplest. Let's start with the simplest, the difference or the subtraction between each term. 1 and 3, 2, 3 and 6, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Can I say the prime number series is going on in the difference? In the subtraction of each terms, 2, 3, 5, 7 and so on, the prime number series is going on. Let's try to check. What should come next? 11. Correct. After 5, it should come 11. That means 18 plus 11 will be 29. Next, it should come 13. So, 29 plus 13 is 42. Is it getting satisfied? Correct. 29 plus 13 is 42. Both are getting satisfied. So, the answer will be option C, 29. Simple question. This we have directly discussed in our class, the prime number series. We have specifically seen, first try to check the difference series or there's addition series going on. And then in this particular series, some kind of logic can be going on like prime number series. The same logic we have discussed in a class as well. Okay, this simple question. Let's try to see the next question, 65th question. They're saying there are 7 places A, B, C, D, E, F and G in a city connected by various roads A, B, A, C, C, D, D, E, B, F, E, G and F, G. They've given all the roads. A is 6 kilometers south of B, A is 10 kilometers west of C, D is 5 kilometers east of E, C is 6 kilometers north of D, F is 9 kilometers west of B, F is 12 kilometers north of G. A person travels from D to F through these roads. What is the distance covered by the person? Now simply from one point to the other point in the city, they have given the distance and the direction between each points. This is a direction sense question. What have we seen in the direction sense? First, we always consider the top as north. Correct? Now let's see what are they saying. A is 6 kilometers south of B. Let's say B is here. 6 kilometers south of A. B is A. Okay. Next, A is 10 kilometers west of C. So C will be somewhere here. From C, 10 kilometers west, A is located. D is 5 kilometers east of E. C is 6 kilometers north of D. So D is somewhere here. This is 6 kilometers. C is north of D and now D is 5 kilometers east of E. So E is somewhere here. This is 5 kilometers. That means it is as the midpoint of AC, E and E. Can I say? Because D is 5 kilometers east of E. Now F is 9 kilometers west of B. From B, 9 kilometers. That's when I'm getting F. Okay. Now F is 12 kilometers north of G. That means F to G, 12 kilometers are there. So this is 6, this is 6. So this will be parallel. Total is 12 kilometers. 6 plus 6 is 12 kilometers. Now, a person travels from D to F. From D, let's say this is the starting point. F, this is the end point. A person is traveling from D to F. Through these routes, what is the distance covered by the person? Now D to F, one way we can see this. Already established roads are there. Let's try to calculate. D to F means D to C plus C to A plus A to B plus B to F. This is one route. Now let's see 6 plus 10 plus 6 plus 9. How much are we getting? 41 kilometers. But we don't have in the options 41 kilometers. So this route might not be the correct route. Are there any some other routes? D to F. Okay, they are given E to G is also a road. So E to G, this dotted line, that is also a road connected according to the question. That means the one more route we have D to E, E to G, G to F. That is another possibility. Let's try to calculate that possibility. D to E, E to G and G to F, because total D to F is what we need. So D to E is 5. E to G, can I say this is 5 and this is 9, because this is exactly at the midpoint. So this is parallel. So this total is 10, that means this is 5 and this is 5. So this is going to be 5. Now this is 9, so this is also going to be 9. So 5 plus 9 plus this is going to be 12. Okay. So this G to F is total is 12. So 5 plus 5 plus 9 plus 12. Total we are getting 31 kilometers. So the answer is option C, 31 kilometers. Okay, we are simply trying to see what are all the possible routes that is there for a person to travel from D to F. First, we have seen already established route that we have drawn, but we are getting 41 kilometers. That is not there in the answer. So then we have tried to see some other route. So they have given E to G is also an established route. So we have simply drawn that line and that route. Based on that, we are getting 31 kilometers. Okay. Once you try to draw the directions figure based on north, east, west, south, without getting confused, you will be able to derive the answer very clearly. Okay. Try to solve the next question. Question number 66. In a certain code, if 64 is written as 343, 216 is written as 729, then how is 512 written in that code? Again, while we were discussing the concept of coding, decoding for the letter coding or the number coding, we have seen certain basics where I told you to memorize certain squares and cubes of the numbers, at least up to 20, 15 or 20. If you try to memorize the squares of these numbers, simply squares or cubes of the numbers, simply when we look at the number, we can recognize, okay, this is the cube of this particular number, or this is the square of this particular number. Okay, not the higher numbers, just at least up to 15 we can remember. Now 64 is written as 343. 64, can I say 4 cube? It is written as 343. 343 is 7 cube. Correct? Now 216 is written as 729. 216. Can I say 6 cube? 729 is 9 cube. Now they are asking what is 512 written in that particular code. Now 4 to 7 plus 3, 6 to 9 plus 3. Simply whatever the digit is there here, whatever the number plus 3 and the cube of that number if you are doing, that is how we are deriving the answer. Now what is 512? That can be written as 8 cube. 512 is nothing but 8 cube. Now plus 3 is 11. So 11 cube will be 1331. Option B is the correct answer. Okay. Simply 512 is 8 cube. So based on the same logic, plus 3 I have done 11. So cube as 11 is 1331. That is how we are getting the answer. Now next question, question number 68. This is a data sufficiency question. We have solved multiple data sufficiency questions also, where they're giving the statements, statement 1 and 2 usually, or maybe more than that, and then they're giving a question. They're asking either using the statements we are able to solve this question or not, or maybe using one statement we are able to solve, or maybe using both also we are unable to solve, we are not getting the answer. That's what they're asking. So a question is given followed by two statements 1 and 2. Consider the question and statements and mark the correct option. First question, what is the smallest one digit number having exactly 4 distinct factors? They are asking one digit number. 1 to 9, can I say? Smallest one digit number having exactly 4 distinct factors. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. What are all the factors? Simply I am trying to note down 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 2, 1 and 5, 1, 2, 3 and 6. So 6, we have 4 factors here, and then 7, 1 and 7, 1, 2, 4, 8. Again 8 also we have 4 factors. Since they have asked for one digit number, simply 1 to 9, all the one digit numbers, I am trying to note down the factors. 1, 3 and 9. So we have both 6 and 9 which have 4 factors. They are asking what is the smallest? 4 distinct factors. Smallest will be 6 out of 6 and 8. 6 will be the answer. So we know the answer already is 6. Now statements, what are they saying? 2 is one of the factors. We already know that without having the information given by statement 1, we already know that 2 is a factor. And then statement 2, 3 is one of the factors. Again same, we already know that 2 and 3 are the factors of 6 without being given this information. So what will be, which of the following is correct in respect of the above question in the statements? The question can be answered even without using any of the statements. Option D is the correct answer. Okay, are you able to understand what we are doing here? We try to solve the question without any information first. We are already getting the answer. That means we do not need any information given in both the statements. So option D is the correct answer. Try to solve the next question. 69th question. A question is given followed by two statements 1 and 2. Again, this is also a data sufficiency question. Consider the question and the statements and mark the correct option. The question is, let P, Q, R, S be distinct non-zero digits. If PP into PQ equal to RRSS, where P less than or equal to 3 and Q less than or equal to 3, then what is Q equal to? They are asking us to determine the value of Q. They have given some equation and the limit or the set of possible values for both P and Q. Now statement 1 and statement 2 are equal to 1, S equal to 2 they have given. Again similar to the previous question, let's first try to solve. Using the question itself, are we able to solve it or not without this information? What are they saying? PP into PQ equal to RRSS. So PP, these are there in the digits place. This is the units digit, this is the tens digit. Okay. Now can I say 10P plus P? PP can be written as 10P plus P into now 10P plus Q. Okay. Equal to, can I say S? 10S plus S, 100R plus 1000R. Because ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands place. So 1000R plus 100R plus 10S plus S. So this will be 11P into 10P plus Q. This is equal to 1100R plus 11S. That can I say 11 into 100R plus S. 11 is common in both. Here and here 11 I am cutting. So what are we getting? P into 10P plus Q equal to 100R plus S. Okay, that is what we are getting. Now what are they asking? P is less than or equal to 3. That means non-zero digits. So the possible values for P are 1, 2, 3. Because P is less than or equal to 3 and it is non-zero. And then the possible values of Q are 1, 2, 3, 4. Because Q is less than or equal to 4. Okay. Now let's try to see case by case. First case is, this is the final equation we have. P into 10P plus Q equal to 100R plus S. Now first case, let's say P equal to 1 and then Q equal to 1. If I substitute 10 plus 1, 11. But here we have 100R plus S. They are non-zero digits. 11. Will it be possible that 100, it can be more than 100? No. This option, we have to get something more than 100 in order to satisfy that. So if we say P equal to 1, Q equal to 2, 10 plus 2, 12, then also same. Next Q equal to 3 or Q equal to 4, 13 and 14, then also it's not possible. So this case is not satisfied. Next P equal to 2, let's say 20. Q equal to 2 means 20 plus 1 into 2. Again same, not possible. So similarly, we have to Q equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. We are trying to solve for all of them. Here also it is not getting satisfied. Next P equal to 3. If P equal to 3, 30 plus 1, Q is 1. Again 31 into 3. Again not getting satisfied. Okay. So let's say P equal to 3 and Q equal to 2. 32 into 3. Again 96. That is also less than 100 only. Again P equal to 3 and Q equal to 3. Then also we are getting less than 100. Let's say Q equal to 4. P equal to 3 and Q equal to 4. That means 34 into 3. We are getting 102. Okay. When P equal to 3 and Q equal to 4, we are getting 102, which is greater than 100. That means this case is possible. So we already got P equal to 3, Q equal to 4. The question being asked is, what is Q equal to? Q is 4. We already know it. Then if R, it should be 1 or 2 means R will be 1 and S will be 2. Only then it is possible. If R is 1 and S equal to 2, we are getting 1 or 2. Then P is 3 and Q is 4. That is what they are asking. In the statements they are giving R equal to 1, S equal to 2. But without the information given in the statements also, we are already able to determine P and Q values. So the question can be answered even without using any of the statements. Option B is the correct answer. Clear? Let's try to solve the next question. Again, this is also data sufficiency question based on the blood relations. A question is given followed by two statements 1 and 2. Consider the question in the statements and mark the correct option. How is Q related to P? Statement 1, P has two sisters R and S. Statement 2, R's father is brother of Q. Let's say P has two sisters R and S. P, R and S are siblings. R and S are female. R's father is the brother of Q, which means their father is brother of Q. This is a male person. Now Q, they are asking, how is Q related to P? From father's side means paternal, but do we know the gender of Q? No, right? So it can be either paternal uncle or paternal aunt, because we do not know whether Q is male or a female. So without knowing that, we cannot say whether Q is paternal uncle or paternal aunt. That means how is Q related to P? Using both the statements also, we are unable to determine. So the question cannot be answered even using any of the statements. Option D is the correct answer. Okay. Now try to solve the next question. This is also data sufficiency question. A question is given followed by two statements 1 and 2. Consider the question and the statements and mark the correct option. In a football match, team P playing against Q was behind by 3 goals with 10 minutes remaining. They are saying P and Q are playing, 10 minutes are still remaining, 3 goals. P is behind Q by 3 goals. Does team P win the match? Just by the information given in the question, we are unable to determine. Now let's try to seal the statements. Statement 1. Team P scored 4 goals in the last 10 minutes. So let's say behind by 3. That means, let's say here is 3, here is 0. Team P scored 4 goals in the last. So P could be 4 goals or more than 4 goals, because we are considering the case of 0 and 3, then 4, it should be more than 4, okay? But we do not know what the Q has scored in the last 10 minutes. They are simply giving the information of P has scored. Now what is the goals scored by Q? We do not know. So does team P win the match? Using this statement alone, we are unable to answer. Now let's see the statement 2. Team Q scored a total of 4 goals in the match. They are saying in the entire match, not the last 10 minutes. Read the statement carefully. So in the entire match, total of 4 goals Q has scored. That means either here, if we consider this case, here maybe in the last 10 minutes 1 goal Q has scored, or here only it could be 4 and it could be 0 here. In the total, if Q has scored 4 means, let's consider the 1 and 4 because this is lagging by 3 goals. Then in this case here 4 and here 0. That means in this case P is winning. In this case it's a draw, we cannot say P is winning. So can we say for sure does team P win the match? Even using both the statements, we are unable to determine whether P wins or not. So the answer will be, the question cannot be answered even using any of the statements. Okay, because even after having the information of both the statements, we are unable to determine. Okay, we have the next question. So is P plus Q square minus 4PQ, where PQ are natural numbers, positive? They have given this equation. They are asking whether it's a positive or not. So let's see. P plus Q whole square minus 4PQ. Natural numbers, that means P and Q can be 1 or more, they cannot be 0. So if P less than Q, I am considering one case, P equal to 1, Q equal to 2. So 3 square minus 4 into 1 into 2, 9 minus 8, positive. Let's consider the opposite case, P equal to 2, Q equal to 1. Again same, even if we interchange, one is more than the other, we are getting the same answer, 9 minus 8, 1. That is positive. So what are they asking? Is it positive? So irrespective of any case, it's getting positive only. So statement 1, P less than Q. Statement 2, P greater than Q. But if we say P equals to Q, 1 plus 1 minus 4 into 1 into 1. That is 0. Here we cannot say that the answer is positive. So either it should be P less than Q or P greater than Q. So if we have first statement, we can solve, or if you have second statement also, we can solve. So the question can be answered by using either statement alone. Without using the statements, we cannot. Okay. Okay, with this, we have come to the conclusion of our logical reasoning classes also. So next session, the reading comprehension part will be taken up by Soumya ma'am.
Important passages and try to analyze them, try to solve them as they came in the examination. And as I was mentioning, that majority of passages were based on ecology, climate. So here's this very interesting passage, which was also the first passage if you look at the set A paper of the examination, which spoke about the ecosystem. Hello and welcome to UPSC Prelims 2025 CSAT paper discussion. And as we have noticed already, through the discussion of quantitative questions and reasoning questions that the paper was moderate level in terms of the difficulty scale. Now, talking about the reading comprehension or the verbal ability segment, again, this time there were some new things that we have observed. The first thing, which is also a good thing, is that the passages were generally based on current affairs, so they were quite easy to relate to. None of the passages was very difficult in terms of its language. Now, another thing was that these passages were moderate in length, but something that has been bothering the students is that most of the questions were either inference based or theme based. There was barely any question that is passage based or direct. So this was a worry among majority of students, but I think in the longer term, as a bigger picture, what really is a good news is that majority of these passages were having easy to eliminate options. This time we did not really have to scramble through the options to eliminate them. In fact, at just one read, we knew that which options need to be eliminated quite simply. So having said that, we'll quickly look at some of the important passages and try to, of course, solve them. And also we'll discuss the structure, the design, the basic formatting of these passages so that going forward from the next year onwards, also we know the hang of the kind of passages that UPSC has been giving now in the last 1 or 2 years. And very honestly, talking about the difficulty level, then I would say that it was moderate for the passages. Well, 3 to 4 passages were slightly difficult, but I think many of them were quite moderate. In fact, 2 or 3 passages were quite easy and short as well. So it was a mixed bag, basically. Having said that, let's quickly have a look at the first passage. We are talking about the set A of the CSAT paper 2025. And the passage here says that maintaining an ecosystem just to conserve biodiversity will affect its commercial potential as well as livelihoods. So for the first line, from the first line itself, we know that yes, it is an environment ecology based passage, and it is talking about a very complex situation where it's a difficult choice either to maintain, restore ecosystems, ecology, environment, or to actually allow some kind of commercial exploitation of these. Then the passage says there is also a conflict, there is also an imbalance, there is a kind of tussle about using an ecosystem only for livelihood, to be used by people who live in the forests and natural ecosystems, or for that matter, allowing forests for some kind of commercialization or just conserving them. Let no activity happen in the forest, completely seclude them. So these are some conclusions. And deforestation has been caused due to commercial exploitation as well as, situations where we actually conserve forest only for the livelihood. Sometimes these kind of situations cause harm. Say, for example, there is flood, there is siltation problems, and there is other climatic instability that people are experiencing. And apart from that, what about the people who are actually depending on these forests? So when we allow commercial exploitation, naturally their habitat stands to get damaged. So these are certain dilemmas of the modern day when we talk about biology, biodiversity preservation. Having said that, last line is always important in every passage, which is also your golden rule number 4, if you remember the lectures which I had been taken with you. So in the last few lines, we say that these conflicts and these dilemmas are particularly very severe. They are acute in developing countries where the dependence of people on ecosystem is quite significant. Yes, because we know that in the developing countries with slightly sluggish industrialization, there are many people who depend on primary activities. They directly depend on nature and forests. So these people really stand to face a threat when we allow commercialization. But there is another problem. That commercial exploitation, on the other hand, has a very huge potential to improve or boost national income. So we are being presented with a kind of a typical development dilemma. Should you allow forests to be raised for commercial development, commercialization, industrialization, which will benefit our income, our economic potential, but on the other hand, there is a community which stands to lose, and these are the people who depend on these forests. So what to do really? Quite an easy passage, I would say. Slightly lengthier, not exactly a quote passage, but let's see the question. Question, if you have the first look, you will come to know it is a theme-based question, as I always say that whenever a question in the CSAT exam shows you words, keywords rather, like critical message, central idea, main idea, crucial message, theme, okay, summary. But all these become your theme-based questions, and in every theme-based question, our task is to figure out why was the passage written and what lesson have we learned from this case study. Here we have four options. First says conservation of biodiversity is not an issue to be worried about when some people depend on ecosystem for their livelihood. We know this cannot be valid because passage has raised a worry about these people. B. Commercial exploitation of forests goes against fundamental rights of the people dependent on them. Again, in the passage, we aren't really talking about any fundamental right as such. This doesn't even get covered in the fundamental right in a very logical way, but also the fact that the question of fundamental rights is not arising in the passage, and it is something, therefore, which is beyond the passage scope. And we know that as a thumb rule in CSAT, as a rule of the thumb, we never engage with options which are out of the scope of the passage. Therefore, it stands ruled out. Look at C. Sustenance of livelihood and degradation of ecosystem while being together, they exacerbate. Now, here is a slightly catchy word. Exacerbate simply means to make something worse, to further dampen something, to further ruin something. Okay, so these two problems are hand in glove, they go together, but also these two problems are reinforcing imbalances and conflicts. Absolutely, this looks valid because in the passage itself, the key learning that we derive is that we today are caught up in a dilemma. We are talking about a conflict, so yes, this looks correct. But let's look at the last option. We should read all the options as a rule. Commercial exploitation of ecosystems should be completely stopped. No, that's not what the passage is saying. Again, it's a question of doubt. Either to go one way or the other. So C seems the most valid message of the passage. Now, also why am I propping the passage back on the screen? Is because I want to remind you of a very special rule. That's the diamond rule. I'm not elaborating the rule now because I would want everybody who has not taken the class to actually go and tune back to the lecture where we have discussed about the diamond rule. But as for the diamond rule, we know what happens. There are certain words which keep on repeating again and again, overlapping themes in the passage. So here exactly the theme is conflict. If you have a look at the passage, you will find, as I said, the last three lines are important. Conflict. Okay, so we are caught up in a kind of dilemma. The first three lines again, third line, the word conflict. So again, the diamond rule is also getting satisfied by choosing option number C. Absolutely, this is the valid and the most critical message. If you ask me, this was one of the easier passages this time. Now let's look at another question, same passage of course. With reference to the above passage, some assumptions have been made and we need to figure out the valid assumptions. We also should know that whenever a question in CSAT, particularly verbal ability, comes in this format of statements and picking out the right conclusion or statement or assumption, as a protocol, it is always considered as an IBQ, that's an inference based question. So what should we do? Yes, we need to figure out a logical conclusion. First says, no country needs to depend on ecosystems to boost national income. Is that what the passage tells you? No. The passage says, in fact, the opposite. That for the developing countries, they have a huge dependence on ecosystems, commercial exploitation, because that's what drives their national income. It could drive their national income, so we can't presume this. Wrong. If one is wrong, please eliminate A, please eliminate C. Naturally, we should go by elimination. Second one, resource-rich countries need to share their resources with those of scant. Scant is very less. Something that's in paucity, something that's in deficit. So therefore, are we in the passage talking about a kind of resource sharing between the developed and the developing countries? Again, this is one theme the passage has not touched upon. Purely it's out of scope of the passage. Now, this is another golden rule of mine. I'm sure by now you must have known which rule I'm talking about. Owing to that rule, of course, we can eliminate all the options, both the statements, making D a valid answer when none actually make any sense as per the passage. Quite an easy passage then. Now, having said that, let's quickly move on to another passage. Let me go on to show you the more important passages with a very easy ones. Of course, I'm sure many people would have figured out already. But let's do the ones in which people have been stumbling upon a little too much. Now, look at this passage here. Again, it's a climate-based passage. As I said this year, the passages are completely rooted in current events. I mean, majority passages are following the same theme. They're all taken from ecology, environment, global warming, climate change. Okay, so the second passage says the history of renewable energy. Now, this again reminds me of one more passage that had come in 2020, and I believe I had practiced that passage. Clearly, I had done that with all my students, with those who have taken the lectures. This is very similar. And that's why I keep reinforcing that practice PYQs. Because unless you practice PYQs, you will never get a hang of CSAT vocabulary. You will never be able to tackle these passages. See, it's proven now. It's that the history of renewable energy suggests there is a steep learning curve, a sharp learning curve, which means there is a huge way to learn. It's a long way of learning, meaning that important word, there is a golden rule which says the word that is important. Please figure out which rule that is. As more is produced, costs fall rapidly. Why? Because of economies of scale. Yes, of course. When your output is too much, when you produce in a mass way, mass production happens, then what happens? The cost of production will also fall down, right? Because of economies of wholesale, because of the economies of large scale production. Now, learning by doing that. Another thing is you learn as you do things. You become more perfect as you do things again and again. That also gives you an edge. You become more efficient. The firm's green innovation is path dependent. Now, again, any company, any organization that really wants to go the green way means environmentally friendly way. If they want to produce and if they want to distribute and if they want to really market their products in a very environmentally friendly way, then let's understand that it is something that is based on learning. It will not happen suddenly, of course. It will take time. Because the more a firm, the more a company does, here don't get confused by the word firm. It's a homonym. We are not talking about firm as in strict. We are talking about a firm as in an organization, a company, okay, an entity. The more is likely to do in future. So obviously, the more you do something, the better you get at it, okay. So the strongest example or the evidence for this is the collapse in the price of solar energy. Correct. Initially, when solar energy was introduced, it was an expensive investment. The solar cells manufacturing, installing of solar cell panels, all these were expensive things, and therefore it was not becoming a mass technology. But today, as we zero in into 2025, we see that solar energy is becoming 90% cheaper, right? 2010 onwards itself. How come? Because now it's already a very well used technology. We are getting better and more nuanced at using this technique. So repeatedly, what happens? It just performs better and better. Now, last line is very important. Moving early and moving slowly. The fact that you make use of the technology very quickly, be the first mover in the market, and please keep proceeding slowly and steadily. And what happens then? It gives you economy of scale. It gives you time to adjust. It also allows you to get the real benefit of path dependent green investment. Path dependent because this is something you can only learn once you do. It's a new technology, let's admit that. Until today, as a developing economy, yet as the one of the first four developing economies in the world, but still India is hugely dependent on coal. We know that. So because it takes time to shift towards renewable energy, no matter how much you're ready for it, in terms of financing it, in terms of awareness, but it takes time. It's a slow curve. And that's what they are saying. The sooner you take to the path, the more you learn and the better things become. Okay? So therefore, a late, more chaotic transition is costlier. But what if you actually do not want to change? You stick to your conventional energy sources. But much later, if you want to change, when already you are in a bad situation, when there's too much climate change and too much emission that you are doing and you have to cut down, then what shall you do? If you don't start early, you will never be successful and it will take you even longer. So that's the essence of the passage. Correct. Easy passage. Very similar to the passage from 2020. Just flip back the PYQs and check which passage am I talking about. On that note, let's have a look at the question. Where the question says, which one of the following statement best reflects the central idea of the passage? So once again, a very cliched statement, central idea, it means a TBQ, a theme-based question. Options are A, economies of scale is essential for transition to green growth. Okay. B, modern technological progress is deeply, intensely linked to path-dependent innovation. C, countries with large economies are in a better position to adopt green technologies. Are we saying that in the passage anywhere? Do you see anywhere in the passage we are saying that large economies can adopt green energy better, small economies cannot adopt them better? No such distinction being made. We can rule it out. D, timing plays a crucial role in the case of green technology development. Well, yes, but apart from timing, there is another thing that matters. And what is that? What is that? Yes, timing is very important. Agreed, it's a correct statement. I always say that in CSAT, many statements can be valid. We cannot blindly choose one and say others are wrong. No, because we don't have to find the right answer. We are trying to find the most important message behind the passage. All these could be important, they could be correct. But our task is to find the best one. Best, that's the question demand. So then here, what shall be the best? D? No, D is only semi-correct. It's a supporting idea. Yes, of course, time plays an important role. But more than that, we also know that modern technological progress is intensely linked to path dependent innovation. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because path dependent innovation means the more you do something, the more smart you get at it, the more hands on you get at it. Okay? Similarly, economies of scale is essential for transition to green growth. Well, we can say, but then again, we cannot presume that this is the most important idea of the passage. So, therefore, B shall be the most crucial idea that we can safely draw here. That so any kind of technological progress, when you talk about any green energy or any new path, a learning curve always matters, making B the most valid learning that we derive from the passage. And similarly, there is one more question from the same passage. It says, with reference to the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. One says, path-dependent green investments will eventually, most likely, benefit growth as well as public finances in India. But in the passage, are we talking about public finances anymore? Of course not. So something that's beyond the scope of the passage can anyway never be correct. So it's wrong. Two, if other green technologies follow the same pattern as that of solar energy, there will most likely be an easy green transition. So, yeah, correct. Why? Because if other technologies, say for example, we talk about any green technology, if any green technology is taking the same pattern as that of solar energy, that you start a path development road as per the passage of course, then it will most likely, but then we are not saying there's a guarantee, no, there's no certainty. Most likely it will be an easy green transition. Yeah, in a way, yes. Definitely we can say second statement is valid because that's also what the passage says. And if you take example of solar energy and do the same, probably the transition will be easier. If you become late, transition will be more painful and chaotic. Okay? So now let's quickly see another passage here. It says E, again climate passage. It says each state in India faces a very unique, distinctive set of challenges regarding the impact of warming. Of course, we are talking about global warming, but very important word here, argument is changing now. It also offers its own set of opportunities. So despite all the climate related challenges that every state in India is facing, which are unique to every state, of course, geographically, topographically. We are all very varied in terms of our geography. So therefore, every state is having a very different kind of a impact when we talk about climate change. But it also means that states have opportunities to. How? Let's see. These opportunities are for reducing carbon emissions, depending on their natural resources. Yes, for example, states which are near the sea, the coastal states, they need to take an action to protect themselves from flooding, rise of sea level because of glacial melting. Districts that are very dry, where there's no rain, they also have to prepare themselves for any variable monsoon precipitation. Of course, in India, we know that precipitation is it's unreliable, it's very ad hoc. There is no fixed pattern, it's quite seasonal, it's quite unpredictable monsoon. So what happens, dry states are anyway worried about water shortage, droughts. Similarly, Himalayan regions have their own problems. So selected parts of southern India, peninsular India, they also have their own problems, but they have opportunities too. For example, they have a massive potential for wind energy, like Rajasthan would have massive potential for solar energy. Similarly, your Himalayan belts could have a massive potential for hydroelectricity. So it's a blessing as well. Now, the various aspects need to be considered for developing clear and sustainable goals for future, which means that all these things mean that whenever you talk about future climate mitigation plan, make sure that it's completely based on all these various diversities of Indian states and their situation. So what's the question? Best reflects. So never get confused by adjectives like logical, rational, pragmatic. Yeah, all these are adjectives which talk about how you have to select the most important answer. But at the same time, the key word here is best reflects the message. So the word message again corresponds to a TBQ, a theme-based question. wherein we shall find out the main learning we have learned from this case study. Is it A? The mitigation, that's the solution, and adaptation strategies to address. Tackling climate change is essentially the responsibility of each state. Now, there are two problems with this option. One, the passage doesn't say that each state independently should sort out its problem. No. Another thing is with the word each. Many a times in UPSC CSAT verbal ability, when we see words like each, every, no, and none, sometimes we can become a little overcautious because these words typically are very extreme. They really narrow the scope of the passage, when in reality, no passage is very narrow. Mostly all these passages are having a very broader perspective. So we will avoid these words which actually narrow down or give a very extreme sentiment. So it cannot be true. B. India is too diverse to implement any effective strategy or program. No, we are not in the passage saying something that's so negative, pessimistic, that because of diversity we cannot do anything about climate change. In fact, we are saying the opposite. Because of diversity, we can have a stronger climate resilience. Okay, so see, it is basically the responsibility of union government to implement climate action plans and ensure net zero emission. The passage is saying quite the opposite. The passage says when the union government or any government makes any plan for climate mitigation, we must ensure that we are taking account of the diversity of Indian states. Accordingly, we can have a very sustainable, a very effective climate mitigation program in place. So therefore, D is the most valid answer, that India needs to formulate effective climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies at state or regional level. Absolutely, because every state is different. The problems of a Himalayan state would not be witnessed in a peninsular state and vice versa. So why not take these regional variations in account when we are creating a long-term climate mitigation plan, being the most valid message. Another question says passage. With reference to the passage, the following assumptions have been made. 1. Green energy production can be linked or integrated with climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies. Yes or no? Absolutely yes, because today when we talk about the green energy production, we know that it is an issue that has to be linked somewhere with climate adaptation and mitigation, of course, because green energy, a transition to a green energy is one very crucial step towards climate mitigation. Of course, it's valid. B, a second statement. Effects of climate change are more severe in coastal and mountainous regions. No, that we are not seeing. Maybe it's true. As I said, many options can be true, but is that something what passage says too? Is this something that you see in the passage? The passage is saying every state has a unique problem, from mountain to peninsula to dry states to coastal states. But we aren't saying that one is more acute than the other. So this is beyond scope, making A the valid answer. Only one of the statements is valid. Okay? Now, similarly, when you look at this passage, the next one on your screen, this is a shorter passage. It's quite a short passage, very small. But the same passage I have practiced with everybody in the class. Everybody. And this is 2022. Same passage had come on poverty line as being an insufficient measure of real poverty, when I had discussed with you the notion of multidimensional poverty as well. And this is saying something very similar. So therefore, I will not break this passage down. Kindly see the passage from 2022, which talks about exactly same problem, very repetitive, that insecurity is a bigger problem than poverty. Therefore, the most important intention of the government policies should be to take care of insecurities that people are having, because poverty is only about lack of money. That's what people presume, but that's not true. That's income poverty. When in reality, in today's contemporary times, we all believe, policymakers believe, think tanks believe that poverty is poverty of life. Poverty is about deprivation and insecurity. So we can not only measure it with people who are living below the poverty line, those living above the official poverty line, over it, are also facing various deprivations. Okay, so same concept is here. Quite an easy passage, not much to discuss here. And the question again is a TPQ, which reflects the best critical message conveyed by the passage. Theme-based question: what's the learning that we learn? Is it A, India's political executive should be aware that poverty and social inequality and the consequent sense of insecurity is the main social problem? No, that is one of the social problems. We cannot presume it's the main social problem. No. B, in India, poverty is primarily a primary reason for social inequality and insecurity? Or is it C, poverty and social inequality are so deeply linked that they pose an unmanageable crisis in India? Or is it D, insecurity more than poverty is the main economic issue that government policies must address? Yeah, somewhere this option makes a lot of sense. Think about the passage in general, just to know by the answer, break it down, compare it with the one from 2022, and see how one passage practice enables you to solve another future passage so easily. On that note, there's one more question for this passage. With reference to the above passage, some assumptions have been made here. People, say for example, one says people above poverty line are also prone to suffer from anxiety about economic insecurity. Yes, clearly the passage said that even those above the poverty line are also insecure. So yeah, this is valid. Two, eradication of poverty can result in peace and social equality in the country. We don't know. Because even if it's true, but the passage is not saying like that. So therefore, A will be the only valid answer. So see, the hang of solving CSAT passages only comes by two things, very honestly. One, by thoroughly practicing the PYQs. One passage, if you do 10 times also, that's completely okay. Because every time you see it with a different perspective. Majority of students are bothered about finding a valid answer. We really do not delve deep enough to understand why should this be the valid answer. So you have to reach a situation, you have to achieve that point where you figure out if this is a wrong statement, why, and if this is the right statement, then why. You have to be thoroughly convinced from inside, and only then will you get a hang of these passages. But once you get it will seem so easy, so doable to you, because all these are very similar. The approach never changes. Now, this passage here is again a very short passage, but for this passage, one of the biggest suggestions of mine would be that please don't bother or waste time on data. Now, multiple times I keep reminding students that in CSAT verbal ability, the fact that it's verbal ability also means that we aren't supposed to get bothered with the numbers, data, statistics, or proper nouns as they appear in these passages. Let the examples be. No, you don't have to worry about words like CAGR. You do not have to get bothered about 1980 or 2000 or 3.5 or anything of that sort. Not at all. Because numbers will not help. Numbers are purely examples. Numbers are purely ways to prove a point. But we have to find the hidden message behind the passage. What is the passage meant for? So in that case, please always avoid numbers. Apart from that, the passage is very easy. It just says that one of the sad and dismal realities of Indian agriculture is that after independence also it has never experienced a high growth, unlike the non-agriculture sector. That's it, that's all the passage says. It says the highest growth was possibly about 3.5 in long back, but today also that is not the same case and it's actually falling down. So there is really no sharp agriculture growth, but in the non-agriculture sector, that's your industry, there is a huge growth. It boils down to nothing, very small. So the question again, best reflects the corollary. Now here we have to be very, very cautious that if the word corollary is coming, we know it's an inference-based question or an IPQ, where you have to find the most logical conclusion to the passage. So which logical conclusion can you find? Is it D, rural to urban migration resulted in a stagnant agricultural growth? Well, is the passage talking about rural urban migration? No. So kindly please shelve away, kindly please keep away all your GS wisdom when you appear for the CSAT paper. I always request the students to come with a clean mind, because you need to absorb the passage meaning. You do not have to falter and do not have to come in a dilemma whether this is true or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be appropriate to the passage. Please believe that. Okay? It's a very reasoning based question that we're doing right now. It has nothing to do with any general studies, by the way. Okay? So therefore, B is not in the passage. It cannot be there. Similarly, see, India lagged behind other countries. Are we comparing India with other countries in the passage? Is the comparison happening? Do you see that in the passage? No, so it cannot be correct. So B, for India, Green Revolution was not as useful as it was expected to be. So we cannot even say that. We cannot say that. Because the passage is not talking really about the causes of poor agriculture growth. We don't know whether this is happening because of land fragmentation or because of poor soil or it's because of monsoon vagaries or is it because of lack of mechanization. The passage hasn't given us those clues. So we cannot bring in green revolution here at all. It's again out of scope. Now let's look at A. The benefit of economic reforms agriculture sector than in the other sectors? Yes. Now, a very good question can come up at this juncture. Students might wonder that when economic reforms are also not mentioned in the passage. Yes, but they are indirectly. Why? Because in the passage clearly we have made a comparison between two sectors, agriculture, non-agriculture. This is exactly what the statement is doing. It's also making a comparison between agriculture and other sectors of the economy. It is surprising that in India in the post-independent era, while other sectors are performing so well, agriculture isn't. Which means somewhere the economic planning and the economic reforms could have worked more quickly for the other sectors, but when it comes to agriculture, well, the impact is very slow and the impact is very late. No wonder it is never compared. No wonder it stands nowhere when compared to non-agriculture sectors. So therefore, yes, absolutely A will be the most valid answer here. Now, one more question was there for the same passage which said, with reference to the passage, some assumptions have been made. Okay, and it says the growing diversions to opposite sides, the growing gap, the growing gap, the lacunae between fortunes of agriculture and non-agriculture economy, which means same thing that agriculture is poor while non-agriculture is very successful in India, can be reduced. It can be brought down by doing what? A, that's one. Adapting large-scale cultivation of commercial crops and viable corporate farming, maybe. But is that something which the passage is saying? Is the passage talking about these two things? No, so cannot be correct. So you can eliminate A and C quickly. Two, providing free insurance for all crops. Are we in the passage talking about insurance, subsidies? Not at all. Also, there's another word here called all, and all corresponds again to a very extreme connotation. We do not really entertain options which deal with extreme connotations like all, only, never, every. We've seen that before. So therefore, none of the options are valid. None of them are covered in the passage, and we will give a valid answer. Now, for this passage which talks about handlooms in India, I agree this was possibly the most difficult passage of this year. I 100% agree to that. The reason why it was tough was because although the language is very simple and the meaning is not difficult either, but the correct option, the picking up the valid option became quite a confusion. I will. So quickly I will do this passage because it is one of the most tough ones this time. So it says in our country, handlooms are equated with a culture that ensures a continuity of tradition. Yes, in India, when we talk about a heritage of tradition, handloom has an important role to play. Yes, the handloom. The idea has become a part of public policy framing. This idea is also used for making government policies and it provides a legitimate, a very fair basis for the state to support the sector. If it's a part of a heritage, government policies will promote that and the government will support that. But the notion is an idea of tradition as a single linear entity. Now, when we say single linear entity, we mean to say that if we say that tradition or a custom is a unique thing, which has an existence of its own, which keeps progressing with time, is strongly contested today. A lot of people do not like this claim. A lot of people do not want to see handlooms as only beacons of India's culture heritage. The narratives dominant in defining culture, tradition in a particular way are seen to have emerged as identities and histories of larger sections, which means that people who say that handloom is a part of our history and culture and heritage, they are only a small component of the population. What about the other people? What about the large masses of people? They don't think so. They don't relate with it. The discounted and at times forcibly stifled when you deliberately avoid something, when you deliberately ruin something, when you deliberately give something less importance. Sometimes there are certain groups of people or communities whose identities are avoided, discounted, they're never given the right importance. And they are always treated as secondary. They are fighting for their place in history. Their culture is never highlighted in history, so therefore they don't want other cultures to be highlighted either. Against this backdrop, my last line is very important. In this situation, when we promote handloom as a traditional industry, it is not surprising that large sections of our people or population choose to ignore that. Yeah, because there is a subaltern reality too. There are some cultures, small cultures, subcultures, tiny cultures, which also need to be showcased when you talk about India's history and culture heritage. But that's not being done. For all these people whose identities are not being given importance to, they are also the ones who ignore when you relate handloom to such a big India's culture symbolism. No? So therefore, everybody defines culture in their own way. You cannot just associate handlooms with culture and expect people to buy it and to use it and to promote it. It's a very ambiguous passage, slightly tough. Let's see the question. Which of the following statement best reflects the most logical, rational message? So the word message again means definitely it's a theme-based question here. Let's find out the hidden meaning or the purpose. A. We need to free the handloom industry from the limited narrative linked to preserving cultural heritage. Yes, in a way it seems sort of uh, valid because we really need to remove the concept where handloom industry is linked only with preserving culture heritage. That's not the only purpose of handloom. Handlooms can do so much more. Employment opportunities, economic growth, rural growth. Okay? So obviously we cannot link it only with heritage and expect it to grow. B. Continued state support to handloom industry ensures the preservation of some of our glorious art forms and old traditions. No, that's not what the passage is saying. That because government is supporting handloom, it is ensuring that all our old traditions are intact. No, we are not talking about any other tradition in the passage except handloom. So this is way out of scope. C. Household units of handloom sector should be modernized. Again, I have a problem with this, not because it's not good. Yes, it's good, but it cannot be the main purpose of the passage. We are not talking about any modernization of any house. Out of scope. D. Handloom products need to be converted into machine-made designer products. Out of scope of the passage. Absolutely, A will be and is the most valid message behind this passage. I hope it's clear to you. Slightly abstract passage, but if you just break it down logically, this is one problem here. That handlooms cannot be only treated as a symbol of India's cultural heritage. For many, many other people, they are not. And that's why it doesn't get accepted. Second question, same passage. Let's see the statements and analyze which of these are valid. 1. There is no need for the state to be involved in any manner in the handloom sector. Well, we are not talking about any privatization or all. Out of scope. Wrong. 2. Handloom products are no longer appealing and attractive in the rapidly changing modern world. That's not true either. That's not what the passage says. Yes, of course, they may be having a great appeal, they may be having a great export market, but the fact that we are trying to endorse it only as a cultural product and traditional heritage, maybe that's the kind of thing people find it hard to accept. So therefore, both of these are incorrect, making D a valid answer. Now the next passage here once again is a repetition of a theme that was witnessed in CSAT 2021 when we spoke about the classroom teaching and why is it insufficient? Why we are not adapting to life skills and real world education? Why is it only focused on academics so much? This is quite similar to that passage. Here also we are saying that in our schools we are just talking about taking exams, thinking and all these things are happening. In fact, we are never asking on any kind of innovation in education such as learning through doing, experimenting, questions from different perspectives and building, thinking, all of that is not happening. So the passage just tells you one thing, it's not the right kind of education because it's very static in nature and higher education should not just be about government policy and likes and dislikes, but it should also respond to the need of the hour. More than that, it is always about teaching people how to think and be innovative and creative and ask questions. So teaching has to be recalibrated. It has to be reinvented. A very similar pattern like previous one. Question was also theme-based. It said central idea. Of course, options were quite easy to eliminate. Very easy. Like for example, A said that India doesn't have enough resources for promoting quality education. The question of resources is not there in the passage, so it was wrong. Very easy to eliminate. As I said, 2025 had very easy to eliminate options for majority of passages. B. Institutions of higher learning in the country should not be under the government control. Again, same problem like the last passage. We are talking about privatization already. C. Classroom approach to higher education should be done away with. Done away is a phrasal verb which means it should be removed. No, that's not what we are saying. That completely rule out the classroom approach. No, that's not the problem. The problem is to just change the methods of teaching. So therefore, classrooms need to be reimagined. Absolutely yes. We have to rethink, reimagine, and teaching has to be reinvented. Absolutely. From the passage also we can say diamond rule is applicable. Passage itself says reinvention of teaching. That's also the valid response here. Very easy passage. Now, with every passage, this time we have two questions. Let's quickly see what question. It says two assumptions are there. Let's see which are valid. One, higher education is a constantly evolving subject that needs to align towards new developments in all spheres of life. Could be, but not exactly, because higher education is evolving, agreed. But it needs to align towards new developments in all spheres of life. We have not been told this by the passage. It's not valid. Two, in our country, sufficient funds are not given to promote higher education. Again, I can't see. We don't know because it may be valid. Both of them could be correct, yes. But the fact that the passage is not talking about them, the passage is not really agreeing with these points, so which means we can rule them out, making D your correct answer. Now, the next passage that you see again talks about a passage which was witnessed once again in 2023, where we spoke about water management practices and how they need to change because with more money, people's dietary patterns are changing. So they are eating more protein. And to create protein based food, we need more water and therefore more energy. This is quite a repetitive scenario where they say that in India there is inequality, there is population growth, but there is a lot of inequality among people. Why? Because as societies are becoming richer, wealthier, their consumption of meat or animal products is increasing, protein intake. This means greater proportion of such basic food stuff. Now, obviously, if people are eating more animals, they're consuming more non-vegetarian food. Then all the vegetarian things like grains and legumes, they are not being eaten by humans more. They are being eaten by the animals more. And then humans eat animals. It becomes a very twisted sort of a very secondary food chain. That people are only choosing to eat animals and therefore all the grains and cereals will have to go to feed the animals. Is that efficient? No. Not for many reasons. One reason is that when we try to eat the food of an animal product, or we eat an animal, so the calorie that we consume is only 16% of the calories that the animal had eaten. So which means that there is a calorie leakage, there is a calorie loss in this entire food cycle, food chain. It's a loss of energy. It's not being taken back by the human. Second problem is that when you talk about animals who are given certain kind of foods to become more fat, to become more, commercially viable for people, the problem is that again people are just getting 7 to 8% of that nutrition from animals, so it's all getting lost. Apart from that, it's also expensive to raise animals. So therefore, it's not a very efficient thing to do. Consuming only protein and only animal-based diet. That's the passage, quite similar from 2023. Question, which reflects the crux of the passage. Now, the word crux or the word gist or the word theme or the word idea, all these correspond to a theme-based passage. Again, it is like, what's the main lesson that you learn? Is it A? There's an urgent need for public policy to promote the consumption of cereal-based foods in wealthier society. We aren't talking about any public policy which should create any awareness. So out of school. Please don't bother about things that don't exist in the passage itself. B. Animal-based food is far less efficient than grain plant-based food in terms of production and utilization. C. Plant-based protein should replace animal-based proteins in our daily diets. We are not talking about changing a daily diet. We are saying overall, if people only consume animals, it becomes a problem. So C is not valid. D. Inequality in food production and consumption is inevitable. That means it has to happen. You cannot stop that from happening. In any fast changing society, it's not a rule that for every society that changes fast, there'll always be inequality. It's about how you manage your food production and distribution. So therefore, the absolutely is valid. But when you talk about nutrition, then definitely animal-based food is less efficient because all the energy is getting lost in between. It will be the valid answer. Similarly, one more question, same passage of course, it says with reference to the above passage, some assumptions are there. Let's decide which are valid. One is that the food manufacturing and processing industries in every country. Again, two problems. The passage is not talking about food processing at all, so out of school. Something that reminds me of passage from 2020, globalization of food production. Okay, something similar was there in that passage. If you have practiced the PYQs, you should know. Another thing is there is a word every. Now, slightly it also is a very extreme connotation. We are not talking about every country, so not very. Two, wealthier societies tend to incur. Wealthier societies actually bear great loss of calories of food materials due to indirect utilization of their agriculture produce. So is that valid or not? that richer societies, wealthier societies tend to incur great loss of calories of food materials due to indirect utilization of the agriculture produce. Yes, obviously, because we ourselves have seen in the passage how indirectly we are consuming the nutrition by having it through an animal. An animal is eating the plant. So the loss that is there is something that's quite evident in the passage. Okay. Now, see another passage, once again, it talks about climate change only, and we are talking about net zero carbon emission. That in a very simple way, it's an easy passage. I want you to read it and try to solve it because, again, it's not a tough passage at all. All in all, the passage just said that in the next coming 3 decades or 30 years, most of the countries are planning to cut down their carbon footprint. Agreed. We all want to reduce our carbon emission. Yes. We all want to go to the net zero carbon way of production. Agreed. Sustainable development goals, nationally determined contribution, all of that. But the thing is that the problem is that you cannot reduce carbon emission only by telling people to not consume so much carbon. And in terms of, consumption is very high and all of that, wastage is very high. You cannot ask people to change their habits. Consumers cannot be always held accountable. It's the accountability of producers as well. So the strategy of climate mitigation should be such that on the one hand, we are trying to achieve behavioral changes in people by telling them to consume things which have lesser carbon emission, lesser carbon footprint. On the other hand, we should also take care of supply problems. We should not allow producers to make products which deal with a high carbon content or high emission rate. So therefore, we must make sure that even the production side is focused on low carbon options. So if you make a strategy where all the low emission or low carbon footprint products are available to people at a cheaper price and they are widely available in the market, then of course people will have the incentive to buy them. So it's a multi-pronged strategy. On the one hand, you encourage consumer psychology by adopting a greener lifestyle. On the other hand, you endorse the producer to actually popularize at a very cheap rate products which have a lower carbon footprint. So that's a win-win situation for both. Okay. So in that light, if we see the question again is central idea theme-based question TBQ. The first one says moving to zero carbon is possible only. Now the only word should make you a little aware. It should ring a bell. But why does it look like such an extreme connotation? Yeah, because there is something wrong with it. Because we are saying that both sides have to be solved, and it is saying only by reduction in household emission. Not correct. B. Low carbon behavior in people can be brought about by incentivizing them. Is that true? C. Cheaper goods and services can be made available to people by using low carbon technologies. Agreed. D. Manufacturing industries that use low carbon technologies should be provided with subsidies. Maybe, but the question of subsidies is not discussed in the passage, so we will rule this out. Now, B and C both are looking quite valid. This is the problem of elimination. C says cheaper goods and services can be made available to people by using low carbon technologies. Okay, but still, what if there is no change of psychology? Still, there is no behavioral change coming. So the solution has to be both the ways. Not only should you make people have an access to cheaper goods and services which are zero carbon, but also you must incentivize people. You must encourage them also to indulge in low carbon emission behaviors. So therefore, B is the most valid lesson that we learn here, the most valid answer. That low carbon behavior in people will be brought about. It can be brought about by incentivizing them. Incentivizing them for what? For genuinely adopting technologies which are cheaper, so easily available. So definitely the question here is the question of incentive. Okay, making B your valid response. Now similarly, if you look at another question, same passage of course, it says some assumptions are there. There are two assumptions. Let's pick out the valid one. One says supply side investment in companies can result in low carbon behavior in people. Absolutely. If from your supply side, if the producers start investing in products which have a low carbon emission, low carbon footprint, zero emission, of course, it will result in low carbon behavior for people because they will buy them and automatically the behavior will get impacted. Two, people are not capable of adapting to low carbon behavior without involvement of government and companies. That's out of question of the passage. Therefore, only one is your valid answer. Now, this passage that's on your screen again is quite an easy one. It just talks about, once again, climate change in a very indirect way. So here they say that today we are consuming a lot and the wastage is also too much. When we consume so much, then wastage will also be high. Don't bother about the numbers, okay? I always say avoid the data. So now what's happening, such as batteries, there are old batteries from cars and vehicles that are discarded now, but they have still a lot of active material into them. That's a very expensive material and it's also a very dangerous material. These are materials like lithium, cobalt, manganese, and nickel. Not only are they expensive, but they're also hard to process. And at the same time, they can also pose a health disaster if they are just dumped here and there. Agreed? So what do? The solution is that if today we start reusing them, then what? If we reuse these batteries in such a way that once the car battery is almost about to finish, or once you have discarded a car, why can't we obtain all these materials which are still remaining and use it to make a new battery? So what are we trying to do? What's this process called? When you use something from one area as a waste product and you use it into another area as an input or a raw material, what is this cycle that I'm talking about? It's a circular economy cycle where there is no wastage. Because one raw material becomes the waste of another industry, and another industry's waste becomes your raw material. So it's a cycle that continues, it's a loop, where the gross loss is very low because you aren't wasting anything. That's the best way you can actually be sustainable. That's what the passage says in a very easy way. So the question now reflects the message of the passage. Don't bother about the adjectives, logical, rational, pragmatic. These are standard CSAT vocabularies, but we're asking about a message. Is it A? Green economy is not possible without reusing critical minerals. B? Every sector of the economy, no, we aren't talking about every sector of the economy. We're just talking about right now battery manufacturing, car making. C. Circular economy can be beneficial for sustainable growth. Okay, maybe. And D. Circular use of material resources is the only option for some industries for their survival. No, that's not the only option. And we aren't talking about some industries. We are talking about right now the automobile industry. So naturally, there are two which are looking relevant, A and C. Green economy is not possible without reusing critical minerals. We can't presume that. Even if we do not use critical minerals, but we are doing so many other initiatives towards green economy, we can proceed to become one. But C is absolutely the most relevant message, the most important empowering logic of the passage that circular economy is very beneficial for a long-term economic growth. Yes, because there is no wastage like proven by this passage. So absolutely C is the most valid answer. With that, the second question, same passage. Let's look at the assumptions. One, automobile factories are examples of circular economies. No, they are not. They will become examples only when we start using the old batteries for making new ones. Until that happens, we can't say they are. So we don't know. We really don't know. Two, as per the passage, we don't know. Two, economic growth is compatible, which means economic growth really goes very well with circular use of mineral resources. Yes, because when the passage is using the word sustainable, it means long term, something that stays for a very long period of time, durable, and something that will stay with you longer will give you economic benefits. So obviously, second is the valid statement. Okay. Now, this passage that we talk about is mentioning something related to agriculture diseases. Very easy passage. I'd like you to do it on your own. It's very simple. It's just saying that it's very difficult to predict how climate change will further create more dangerous virulence, danger, more poisonous, more dangerous, more catastrophic, more ruthless, more brutal. All these adjectives for the same thing. Very scary kind of diseases can spread in the future now. But the problem is that some plant infections, which are today happening in some places, will start happening in all climate zones. So they will spread because of climate change. What to do? And that too in a dangerous way, catastrophic way. Catastrophic, dangerous, uncontrollably scary, monstrous. Part of the problem, one aspect of the problem is that people are into genetic modification. We are doing selective breeding of plants. So we only keep those genes which give us high result and less wastage. That's a good thing in the short term, but in longer term, that's a problem. It's a problem because all these genetic variations that today we are creating, will probably not survive the climate changes of tomorrow. Maybe they are helping you today, but tomorrow the genes that you have bred out, genes that you have removed, cut away because of genetic modification technology, they would have helped you. in sustaining climate change, but the ones you have today are too delicate, they're too weak, they may not help you in the long term with coping with climate change. So now what is happening? A disease that would have earlier been dealt with easily, today it's becoming a massive issue because the existing plants have very limited genetic capacity to deal with them. So it's a problem about overuse of genetic modification and completely ruling out the natural genes of the plants. That makes us more prone to agriculture, disease, and food insecurity. That's the pattern. Very simple. Question. Central idea. Theme-based question. Is it A? Global climate change very badly adversely affects productivity of crops? Yes. But can it be the main message? We don't know. B. Our total dependence on genetically honed. Honed is created, manicured. When you make something specially very sophisticated for some particular purpose. Our total dependence on genetically honed crops entails possible food security. Entail involves. See, our food security should not depend on agriculture productivity alone. That's a very absurd statement because food security comes from agriculture. The genetically honed crops should be replaced with their wild varieties in our present cultivation practices. No, we don't know wild varieties, native species. The passage is not really saying completely replace them. No. A and B, again confusion. A, global climate change adversely affects productivity of crops. It does. Absolutely correct statement, but this is not the main lesson of the passage, main idea of the passage, which is only B. If we completely depend on genetic modification, we remove all unnecessary genes from the plant body, from the plant species, what happens? This will tomorrow create a future food insecurity for us because the remaining genes may not be able to cope with climate change. Now, another question, same passage would be assumptions have been made. One, global climate change can result in migration of several plant diseases to new areas. Absolutely, that's clearly what the passage says. That earlier diseases were in a small area, today they are spreading to many more climate zones because of climate change. So, correct. Two, scientific understanding of wild relatives of our present crops would enable us to strengthen our food security. We don't know. We don't know. So obviously we can say A will be the valid answer. Now this one is a very easy passage. A very, very easy passage. It just talks about how a good politician should always also respect and acknowledge the importance of their opponents. Because friends are not the only people who help you, sometimes enemies are also there to help you because they always give you a real reality check on whether you're doing right or whether you're doing wrong. So, in any political democracy, we should have a right balance between the leader and the opposition so that neither the leader can become too autocratic to dominating, and neither can the opposition become too rebellious. So there has to be a balance of power. This you can solve on your own, quite an easy passage, and you have to ultimately find it as a TBQ question, theme-based question, critical message. Very easy passage. Okay, both the questions very simple again. Now we talk about this passage again. This is talking about how democracy or a free country where people have civil rights is very deeply connected with capitalism connected with capitalism because it clearly says that when you talk about capitalism and corporate culture, it really helps in improving the economic growth. It really helps in creating a kind of modern country where people are shifting from agriculture to industry, rural to urban. So all these things are good for improving business. Okay, so big companies then can actually operate in your country, and it will give you a lot of money as a government. Also, you will get money if you are ready to become corporate, capitalistic. It's a good thing. When you have money, you can use that money for the welfare of poor people also. So clearly, we are talking about how corporate wealth can translate into better welfare programs if the government is ready to use those profits into the well-being of people. So the option will be very easy after discussing the passage. Critical message, theme-based question. Just find out the valid passage and let us know in the comment if you think there is any doubt. But I think after explaining the main idea of the passage, you will find the passage. And this is exactly how you find the main idea. Not going too much in nitty-gritty of the passage, just figuring out in a nutshell what is the passage trying to say broadly. Similarly, this passage is very fascinating. It's a pure example of a squat passage, just one line. A network of voluntary associations stands as a buffer, as a thin line of protection between relatively powerless individual and potentially powerful state. Okay, so which means people believe that common people, common men are powerless and the state is very powerful, but in between there is a kind of network also And this is about a voluntary association. Somewhere people tacitly also work with the government, they support the government. Okay, so the question again, we are talking about best explanation. Again, we are talking about a TB3, theme-based questions. We can figure out which of these will be the valid answer here. Of course, B, it permits citizens to have a variety of loyalties and allegiances to the government, which means respect and connivance with the government. Is it C? It takes individual out of a state of isolation and gives them a chance to participate in the common endeavor. Is it B? It is a cooperative organization for promoting well-being and development of personality of its members. Clearly, we can rule this out. A. It emphasizes inability of the state to enforce its will in practice against opposition out of question. So C and D, which could be the valid response here. It takes individual out of a state of isolation and gives them a chance to participate in the common endeavor. Or is it D? It permits citizens to have a variety of loyalties and allegiances. Absolutely, because these are voluntary associations. People are willingly making an association with the people in power. So yes, citizens do have a variety of loyalties and allegiances towards the government. Now, this passage that we see is a very economy-based passage, not difficult, because please do not go for technical words. Do not really bother about reading the technical concepts, economic terminology. See the broad meaning here. We are just saying that, how inflation has been measured in different ways in the country. But the problem is that most of these measurements are taking uniformity into account. Whereas in India, people are not homogeneous. The food consumption of the poor, the middle class, and the rich is very different from each other. So therefore, any kind of consumer price index or any kind of method that measures inflation will always only cover the partial picture. They will not be able to take out the real average level of inflation because they are only seeing things in a very homogeneous. Whereas in reality, we are a heterogeneous society. A lot of economic difference exists between different economic classes. Having said this, I think the question can be easily solved. Crucial message, which means it's a theme-based question, clearly. Okay, so just try to solve it, very simple. And then we have a passage here which talks about trust. Okay, it says trust stands commonly defined as being vulnerable to others. So people believe those who believe in others are the gullible people. Gullible is somebody who will believe anyone, very pliable person. So when you trust somebody, people think you are a vulnerable person. You're very emotional or sensitive. Entrepreneurship, business acumen means that you have to trust people because when you do a business, you will work in collaboration with people, but which also means if you're trusting people, you are also willingly taking the risk that comes with trusting people. People may betray you as well. Trust in expert systems is the essence of globalizing behaviors, yes. Trust itself emerges as a super commodity in the social market. For any business at the global level, at the regional level, people have to trust each other. Until that human to human trust is there can be no collaborative, no group effort that's possible, which is a characteristic of all businesses. Okay, so therefore, trusted conduct also means holding others in good esteem. You must respect people. You must have a good opinion of them, and you have to have a hope. You have to be very optimistic that they will be competent in certain respects. You have to acknowledge other people's ability. Only then will you trust them. Only then will you work with them. And that's how business goes. Okay, so trust is a very important commodity in itself in today's corporate industry and corporate markets. So the question says, which of the following statements best reflects the crux of the passage? Theme-based question. What's the theme? A. Trustworthiness cannot be expected in entrepreneurship. No, you cannot say that. People trust, of course. B. Trustworthy people are the most vulnerable people. It's a belief that people have, that those who trust are vulnerable. But in reality, it's not like that. The whole world is essentially based on some trust. C. No economic activity is possible without being exposed to betrayal. No, we can't presume that either. There can be, there cannot be betrayal. D. Trust is important, though it has some risks. Yes. Of course, when you trust somebody, you can be betrayed. But does it mean you'll stop trusting? You can't. Because that's also a very important factor. Okay, so with this, we come to an end with all the questions, all the 30 questions that came this year in the CSAT 2025 verbal ability segment of the CSAT exam. And believe me, majority of passages you've seen are quite easy to watch. None of the passages except the handloom one was difficult, which is a good trend. So if you continue practicing the rules and if you continue practicing the PYQs, performance will only get better. And on that note, thank you so much for